the ball game. Samurai Japan gets Chinese Taipei back for the Premier 12 gold medal game in 2024 with a WBC victory in 2026.
All right, a Friday edition of The Zone right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcy, Jack Johnson, heading up until 2 o'clock. The next 4 hours, we've got you. A lot of stuff to get into and talk about today. Well, the rain just emptied. And right as Jack Johnson walked in the door, it stopped. So, gotcha.
You are our.
It gotcha, man. It gotcha.
You're our sunshine.
Yeah, that's right.
I am.
That's what it is. 913-912-4810, the text line to join us to be a part of the show. 913-912-4810, text line to weigh in on the conversations that we will be having today. We will talk some college basketball with the games coming up tomorrow. Senior day for both Missouri and Kansas. The long-standing streak of senior day for KU, taking on K-State. Mizzou getting ready for Arkansas. We'll talk about what those games mean for all three of those teams. We'll get into that here in just a little bit. We'll talk some NFL football. Matt Derrick will join us at 11 o'clock. Chiefs Digest, 41 is the Mike podcast. Mick Schaefer joins us coming up in the noon hour. We got the cuts before the show is over as well. We'll talk some baseball along the way. We'll talk some college basketball, as I said, some NFL football. We're going to some of those things, some free agency, some trades. We'll talk about the Bills trade with DJ Moore. We discussed it a little bit yesterday. It came down while we were on the air. They gave up the equivalent of a third-rounder. Since they gave up a second, got back a fifth. They gave up the equivalent of a third-rounder for DJ Moore. But it's not just the player. It's also what they did with the player right after they traded for him. So that's part of the discussion because we are talking about the cap situation, free agency, the draft. And I tweeted out this morning before the show because I was listening to different podcasts last night and, just in general. And I've talked about how much I really like Nate Tice. All right, I think he's really good at his analysis breakdown. Bill Barnwell. Bill Williamson used to be somebody that we talked about a lot when he was just almost specifically covering the Raiders. But Bill Barnwell's podcast that he has out there as well, appropriately named The Bill Barnwell Show. I like Bill Barnwell a lot. We had him on before the season started, too. Both of those guys like him a lot. But what those particular individuals had in common on their analysis, I tweeted out this morning that it feels like, and some locally too, I tweeted out a picture of Bob Ross and a painting when you've got some white puffy things in the sky, and then there's like these black designs that look like a stealth bomber. And what I tweeted out is, why would Bob put those black designs up there? Like, is he trying to draw a stealth bomber? Like, I thought these were like happy little fun pictures, but maybe he's doing something different. Maybe this is just going to be some crazy random picture there. But let's talk about why he put specifically those designs right now and say it makes no sense whatsoever to do that. But we're saying that while understanding that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we'll be adding elements to those black lines. That in the end, it's mountains in the sky and these bubbling brooks and trees everywhere, and it's a beautiful picture. That may be what this offseason is for the Chiefs. It might be me taking over and a bunch of scribbles everywhere. It's like, this is terrible. We don't know. But we're judging it based on days before free agency opens up, the draft, things like that. So I'm going to get into that conversation around Trent McDuffie. And then as it relates to the off-season strategies that have been implemented over the last number of years with the Chiefs, and Brett Veach, and the Bills, and Brandon Mee. We're going to that. Let's start with some college basketball, though. 913-912-4810. We simply ask this question for both teams coming off games in which they were lackluster. For Kansas State, coming off a game in which they won. It doesn't mean much for Kansas State. A win doesn't change really anything except for, like, this year specifically for the team. They're not going to the postseason. Winning at Kansas would simply be one of the crazier upsets in a season. You wouldn't expect that. And breaking the streak for Kansas and Senior Day. So outside of a bragging part of it, right, actual on the court and what it means, not much this year for K-State. What does it mean then for the two home teams, Senior Day or not, in their games tomorrow? What can be gained, what can be lost? Let's start with Mizzou. Mizzou's hosting Arkansas. They have the tougher of the two matchups. They also coming off a lackluster performance. We all guessed that they would have punched their ticket at Mississippi State. Plus, teams around them are not really doing much to say, no, look at us. We are earning our way into the tournament. Like, they're ahead of a number of teams that are also failing to capitalize on some opportunities. So it's not just one team in a vacuum that lost to Oklahoma on the road, and everybody else around them have won like 5 straight. It's not the case. You have, New Mexico that lost at home a couple of nights ago, and it's like New Mexico's trying to catch Missouri. They lost at home. They ain't doing much to, pat themselves on the back. Auburn, outside of their old coach, ain't doing much to really boost their resume, except for talking, because Daddy is having Son's back on his team. So what's it mean for Mizzou tomorrow, win or lose? The win, they no doubt. It's not a question about, did Mississippi State give them their tournament bid? A win tomorrow, there is no doubt. You are not sweating going into Nashville. Or if you were to lose in Nashville, you're not sweating a week from Sunday. You're not sweating 9 days from now to say, good God, just put them in the tournament. I don't care if they go to Dayton. Just put them in the tournament. Hopefully losing 3 in a row at the end did not create disaster for the way this team was heading. I think that's first and foremost the biggest part, is getting a win and knowing you're going to the tournament. But I think there has to be something there for washing away Tuesday's performance and going into Nashville feeling better about your team, how you're playing with some confidence than you played awesome against Mississippi State. And that would be 12 days. 12 days away since your last good performance when you're getting ready to head down to Nashville and play what could be, if you lose, it won't be against Tennessee in that first game. But if crazy things happen, maybe it is against Tennessee in your first game and you're there in Nashville and your last good performance was 12 days away. I think it's a significant game for both, but let's start about the meaning for Mizzou.
I'll say I think it means more for Kansas than Missouri, the final game, which might sound weird.
It does to me.
To me,
well, I mean, there's a lot of other things on the line with K-State in there and all of that stuff. But
for Missouri, I do think Mississippi State punched their ticket. I think they could lose to Arkansas. It depends how you lose. You get hammered, you lose by 30, well, then things might change. You have a similar game that you lost in Fayetteville. You lose by 8. Good game, though, overall. I don't think it hurts you. I get your point of you want to play good because your first good game would be 12 days ago.
Yeah.
Arkansas,
Going into Nashville.
That's not me trying to be. This is me trying to be a calm Mizzou fan, which is almost an oxymoron because normally we're not calm.
I don't care what you call yourself, okay? Let's just talk about and keep it to what Mizzou on the court is.
I just want to see Jaden Stone, I think, finally start to get back to the guy he was about a month ago.
So you think maybe the importance is more individual players figuring their own game out within the construct of the team rather than, hey, they played well, and T.O. and Mitchell and Pierce and Burns and some of the other guys that we've seen play well as of late all played well. But in your mind, it's like, can Jaden Stone get going and play better?
5 games that since Jaden Stone went from being a X factor for this team to being non-existent. And if he's not shooting the ball well, that really leaves you Trent Pierce, because Jacob Cruz, he's in a couple recently, but he's not going to play as much. It's Jaden Stone to me.
Interesting.
That's a guy I'm really looking forward to see what can he do, especially in a high-paced, uphill game against Arkansas. We've talked T.O. Barrett just because, in general, the Arkansas connection, and he had a horrible game last time around against Arkansas, and can he use his size down low to against a Cuff and those guys to prove his will. We'll see. But to me, Jane Stone, the actual outcome of the game, win or lose, I don't think it's quite as big as maybe people are making it out to be.
So if Missouri played well offensively, Jaden Stone played well, and it was a back-and-forth game, and Arkansas hit some crazy shots, they won the game. But it looked like Mizzou played well. Jaden Stone got out of his dome, as you would say.
Yeah.
You'd feel okay about that rather than Stone sucked. Arkansas was just terrible. Missouri found a way to squeak by, and they look more Oklahoma-ish than they do Mississippi State-ish.
Yeah, and because, let's be real, they beat Arkansas, they maybe move to a 9. They lose to Arkansas, I think they stay at a 10.
But what it does for sure, I don't think there's any doubting, it takes away any sweating on Selection Sunday. Like that
Sure.
we can pretty much guarantee. Jack, how do you view this game and look at the importance of Mizzou and what may be on the line for them against Arkansas?
Well, I go back to our conversation that we had Monday, maybe it was last Friday, of what record Mizzou needs to have to get to the tournament. And I said the only way that I would be sweating it out for Missouri on Selection Sunday is if they went 0-3. They lose to Oklahoma, they lose to Arkansas, and they get bounced in Nashville. I said I don't see that happening, whether it be losing to Oklahoma or losing in that first game in Nashville. And that would put them at, 20-12? The resume should still be good enough. To me, this is more about how do you want to go into the tournament, right? Because you guys are Missouri fans, and what you want is the best possible chance at a run. And though getting to the tournament is fun because you could enjoy Selection Sunday, you get to be a part of the madness, it's more so about when you get your team in the tournament, what do they look like? And if Missouri loses to Arkansas, it's not a bad loss by any means, but then you're just looking at Nashville as your chance to maybe get some momentum. And if you don't win that game in Nashville after losing to Arkansas on senior night, now you've lost 3 in a row. You are, a week, or you said 12 days until their next game, or 12 days
From Mississippi State.
From Mississippi State.
Yeah, from that Mississippi State performance on February 28th to when they would take the court against in Nashville. Maybe it's only 11, but it would be coming up on 2 weeks.
Yeah, it'd be a long time. And then you think about the next time you'd play would be over a week.
A week from that, yes.
And then you're going, man, we've lost 3 in a row. And maybe you play fine in those games. Maybe you get blown out. But the reason this Arkansas game to me matters, maybe more so than KU K-State, because I just don't think there's anything you can get out of this KU K-State game if you're KU. You should beat them by a lot. You do. It doesn't change your opinion of who KU is. Whereas Missouri, you beat Arkansas, who might be the scariest 5 seed out there. Then you start to say, okay, that Oklahoma loss, we can flush that away. This team is capable of knocking off maybe the 8 seed and then maybe a 1 seed, or if they're a 10 seed, which I think this could boost them up to that 8-9 line. Now you start to have that confidence. Where if you lose this game, your season's not over. You could still have a good run in Nashville, but all of that momentum you built up over the last couple of weeks kind of feels shot if you go on a 3-game losing streak into the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, the if we're looking at Bracket Matrix, which is updated yesterday, and it doesn't mean that every single bracket is there, but let's just go off of updated yesterday. Arkansas is the top 5 seed. Missouri is the top 10 seed. Boy, that would have to be a lot behind the scenes, behind Mizzou to happen for them to go from the top 10 seed to fall behind 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different teams would have to pass them. But that is at Bracket Matrix. We don't know what's going on with the selection committee. The selection committee might have them as the second highest 11 right now. We don't know that. But I think it's pretty, I think, set in Jaden Stone that if they were to win tomorrow, it would give them 6 quad 1 wins. Comparing that to the other bubble teams, there is no comparison. There's you can take 2 or 3 of those bubble teams and add up their quad 1 wins to get what Missouri's at.
Yeah.
So that would be significant. And with an opportunity to get another quad 1 win in Nashville, depending on what happens. So I think it's a significant game for Mizzou. Last Friday, before they got set for Mississippi State, I predicted Mizzou to go 1-2. But I predicted them to lose Mississippi State and Oklahoma and then beat Arkansas. I'll stipulate that this isn't a great matchup for Mizzou in the way that Arkansas plays, but Mizzou plays differently at home. It is senior night. We talked this past week about, man, it is you go to senior night with these games, man. It's tough to go on the road and get a game like that. And then to follow that up and look at Mizzou, Arkansas and go, I don't know, it's a bad matchup for Mizzou, so I like Arkansas in the game. Well, I do think it's not a great one, but Mizzou has had a number of bad matchups. Florida's a bad matchup for Mizzou.
Yeah.
But at home, they won that game. You know, you can talk about Tennessee and how tough they are, you know, and how physical they are. And falling behind by 10, well, that's a bad matchup for them. But they were at home, and they simply win at home. It's what they do. So I think they'll take care of business tomorrow. I think they beat Arkansas. Not sure by how many, but I do think they'll win. And that's what that Mississippi State win did, for me at least, was if they went 1-2, I thought 1-2 was good enough to punch their ticket. I thought the one would be more likely Arkansas than, let's say, a Mississippi State or Oklahoma on the road. Didn't expect them to have that performance like they did last Saturday. I think they will perform well tomorrow. I don't think there's any chance they come out flat tomorrow. I think the better chance is that Arkansas comes out flat. They have already beaten Missouri. They put on a show the other night on senior night. They're going on the road. It's 11 a.m. tip for Arkansas. And Mizzou's the one that's going through senior day. And Mark Mitchell, some of the other players, I think Mizzou will answer the bell, and I think they'll win tomorrow. And I think it'd be significant for them to win because I think then you can go down to Nashville and feel a little bit better about yourself.
Yeah, I agree.
But I do think the Jaden Stone thing is interesting.
Again, all that to be said, I still think Missouri beats Arkansas. I just think that, to me, the most important thing is, can you probably your second best scorer, Mark Mitchell, number one, I'd say just simply score is Jaden Stone. If you're saying, like, who can create their own shot, it's probably Jaden Stone.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a natural scorer that has been in his own head and lacking confidence.
That Oklahoma start was the worst 4 minutes of basketball I've seen a Missouri player have in a long
shot,
time.
Didn't take a shot, missed a layup, dropped a pass in transition right in his hands that he would have had a layup.
And almost had another turnover too, where he started to dribble and almost dribbled it off his ankle. I'm like, what is going on?
And he was able to go and secure that one. But yeah, it was rough. He did come back and hit a couple threes late.
He did.
Then attack the basket, get the layup, and it was like, okay, just play ball, man.
Well, that's what I'm hoping. Is that going to be the catalyst? Okay,
hopefully
we're good now.
What do we think of KU tomorrow? What's on the line for KU other than pass-fail? Like, I feel like that's all tomorrow is, right? It's pass-fail. You pass because you're expected to beat Kansas State. You keep the streak of senior day / night wins alive, but it does nothing for you. It can only hurt your resume. It cannot help your resume, but it does in the Sunflower Showdown and the rivalry there. You take care of Kansas State and you keep that streak of Kansas State not winning in Lawrence still alive as well. But it kind of feels like that's the only thing that would be sort of on the line of a, bragging rights thing, because it's hard for me to create the scenario of Kansas State walking into Kansas tomorrow with what the crowd will be like and, the long memories of Trey White playing his last game for Kansas and the years and years of Melvin Council and the memories of him playing his last. Darren Peterson should go through senior day tomorrow as well. That'd be fun.
He should.
But what do you think is on the line for Kansas? Is it just simply pass-fail and that's really it?
Yeah, because, I mean, this game, just other than it being a rivalry, how much does it really matter for the tournament? Like you said, it can only hurt their resume. If they go out and beat K-State by 50, good for you. You won't see a Kansas State in the tournament, and that's what matters here. If they go out there and they get 35 points from Bryson Tiller, we can all say, man, that's awesome to see Bryson Tiller get going at the right time. They're also playing a team that has 18 losses on the season. I mean, it's one thing to put that type of showing together against an Arizona or against a Houston or against an Iowa State in Kansas City, where you go, man, they're starting to roll at the right time. But tomorrow, whether they win that game by 10 or win that game by 50, it shouldn't really wash away what happened on Tuesday for how poorly you played, and also bring it to the table that it's at home, where they've played well this season. They have played their best basketball at home. They're playing a bad team. If they struggle with K-State, they struggle with K-State, but it probably would be that they've overlooked this opponent. To me, what will change the opinion is if they can win tomorrow, then Texas Tech loses in Provo, they get the 3 seed in the tournament, and they find the way to get to the championship game in Kansas City. That, to me, is when Kansas fans can go, okay, the loss in Tempe, years ago. The loss in Tucson against Arizona, don't even remember what happened in that game. Only focus now is making a deep run in March, and it just doesn't start on Saturday. Darren Peterson could drop 50 points in this game. KU hangs 120. It would be awesome to see because KU fans want to beat up on K-State, but the level of competition is not anywhere close to what you're going to see in March Madness, and the margin of victory should not impact. It should make you feel better about the week because of how crappy it started out. Other than that, from a team standpoint, a ceiling standpoint, it doesn't change a damn thing.
I mean, this is a good game for KU to kind of get back on the winning ways. But like Jack said, it really is going to depend on what they do in the Big 12 tournament. If they go out there and win a couple games and get to the championship, then I'll feel a lot better about this team going into the tournament. The issue is they take one step forward and then two steps back. Can they play consistent basketball? Do you see, kind of similar to what we were talking about with Mizzou, do we see Bryson Tiller play better?
Yeah.
Do we see Darren Peterson play 30 minutes? Do we see all of the individual players kind of come together as more of a cohesive unit? The last two games I've seen Darren Peterson play, and the team doesn't know how to play around him. But if they can go out against Kansas State and they all play together and they play well, that can carry over into the Big 12, which ultimately carries over into the tournament. I don't think that KU has ever gone far in March if they don't go far in the Big 12 tournament.
When you brought up the Darren Peterson thing, I think that is part of this because maybe it's the watching from a different lens of just simply the analysis and watching it and rooting one way or another, but it's mainly just I want all the local teams to be successful. And I know people, we can rivalry, all of that stuff, but it's better for certainly the show and other things if all the local teams are better. Am I trying to find something and put lipstick on a pig or searching for a silver lining? From your guys' perspective, the performance on Tuesday left a lot to be desired, right? And he missed a bunch of open shots. But am I wrong in feeling like the last couple of games, it's felt like they are starting to maybe figure out how to play with Darren Peterson? It's hard to say after they had one of the worst performances they've had in a long time with Bill Self as head coach. But it didn't look like it was Melvin Council isn't aggressive and they're just deferring to Darren Peterson. Okay, people are standing around and throw it to Darren Peterson, and then Darren's got it and nobody knows what to do. Or Flory is only successful when Darren's off the floor and it's Melvin Council playing a 1-2 game with he and Flory. What are you guys seeing from this 4-game stretch of Darren playing 30 minutes? Since he took himself out of the Oklahoma State game, he's played 30 minutes a game. So are they figuring it out? Is it the same old? Do they look like they're more cohesive while they're going 2-4 in this stretch, which is odd to say?
It's a very fair point, and I would say that once you simmer down, or personally me or KU fans simmered down from the loss, you go look at that snapshot of the first 10 minutes of the second half against Arizona State, and you can tell this when he's at his best. To me, when Darren Peterson's at his best, it's not that first half against BYU when he's going one-on-one with Debansa, he's putting up 30 points. It's not that. It's when he gets those long closeouts. He goes right around him. They all collapse. You dish it off to Flory. You dish it off to Tiller. You dish it to Trey White in the corner. That's KU at their best. And if KU makes a deep run in March, you will actually look back at these final 5-6 games of the regular season and go, they're playing like this because Darren Peterson actually got 30 minutes a game. Even though they went 2-4, 3-4 to close out the regular season, getting him out there rather than winning all these games and getting him for 15 to 20 minutes or getting him for 20 to 25 minutes, that was never going to help them long term. And that's why it's not really Saturday, because he'll be able to get his own shot. He'll be able to facilitate the ball he wants to. But against another great opponent in Kansas City, if he is in that rhythm and he is able to get all these defenders running out at him, the shots start falling, that makes KU dangerous. We can't fall victim to he's looked really bad, he's out of sync, the offense out of sync, they're losing, clearly this is not working. There is a growing pain process of this. You just were hoping it was happening in November and not in March, and that's just where we are.
You make a good point. I think the team around Darren is playing better together It also just happens that Darren has missed a bunch of shots in his last 2 games, and you've gotten nothing out of your front court. So if Flory plays better, if Flory can give you 20 a game and Bryce can give you 10 and 8, then you're feeling a lot better about Darren and Melvin Council, and you don't have to put so much pressure on Trey White. My opinion on Trey White is he's very hit or miss. He's either going to go out there and give you 15 or he's going to give you 30 minutes played and 7 points. But I think with Flory and Bryson disappearing over the last month, that really puts a lot of pressure on not only Darren but Melvin Council, and that can't happen going into tournament play.
Yeah, the shots and scoring / missing for Darren Peterson last 2 games in that Arizona swing, 11 of 39 from the floor and 5 of 19 from behind the arc. And the odd part is that there were a number of open shots with that. But I wonder, as Jack, you were talking about that second half when they were going on a run, and it was like Darren's out there dishing the ball. He's scoring when called upon. He's getting inside the defense, making the defense scramble. Okay, here comes Kansas. They were down 20. Now they're down 8 that quickly. I mean, it was like a minute 45. It felt like it was that. Like, hold on. It's like 17 minutes left to go in the game. At 19 minutes, they were down 20. Now they're down single digits. That was incredibly fast. Peterson's line of take away the 18 shots. Okay, 3 of 18. But his line being 15 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 5 steals. Is KU better when he does that, or he scored 32 and had 1 assist in a game? I really won and 1 rebound, 1 assist, a couple steals, but he dropped 32. Oh man, the guy's scoring at will. Or is it better when he's 15 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 5 steals, and it seems like he's in the entire game, not just let me go get my points in the game? Because I can make a case that it's probably the overall stat line rather than just go and score. Because I think he's always got the ability to score, but is he engaged everywhere else besides I need to go and get mine?
I get your point, but the 32 with the efficiency he had, you're not
True.
You're not beating that.
Yeah, 32 on 18 shots is pretty legit, as opposed to 15 on 18 shots.
But I would also love to see the Big's stat line when he is dishing the ball.
That's a good point, yeah.
I know that you would know this better than all of us here, but I can recall that Kentucky team that had Karl Anthony Towns, who went 1-1 that year. And of course, it's different positions.
Yeah,
You're not playing.
That was also the
platoon team.
It was the platoon when they had 5 and 5, and that was ridiculous how good that team was. But yes.
But Karl Anthony Towns didn't need to drop 30, 35 points. He by far and away was that team's best player. And I think if you were to ask any Kentucky fan, John Calipari, when are they at their best? Is it one of those guys taking over and dropping 30, 35? No, because you're not getting the entire team playing through the offense. And for Darren Peterson, look, if he scores 32 points and shoots 60% from the floor in the round of 32, depending on what the other stat lines look like, KU probably wins that game. But if I saw a stat line where Darren Peterson was, let's say, 6 of 8, had 17 points, he had 9 boards, 7 assists, and 3 or 4 steals, I would say that due to that efficiency, and let's say he played 30, 35 minutes, I would say I'd have more confidence taking Kansas money line there than I would be if I saw 35 points in 35 minutes and his efficiency is shooting 38%. I'm going, that might have been KU was down by a lot, and he said, well, I got to try to bring us back in the game.
It's an interesting point you bring up with Karl Anthony Towns, because I'll ask a trivia here. All right, he played 38 games that year. All right, because they went 39 games that year. They went 38 and 1. So he played 39 games that year. Take a guess. Do you know how many games he scored 20 points out of 39 games? Karl Anthony Towns, phenomenal player, number 1, best player
30,
on it.
35 of them.
35 of the 38 or 39. He scored 20 points.
This could be such a dumb guess. I'm going to say like 4.
I'm going to say probably like 2.
2.
Okay.
2 games he scored 20 or more points. 2 Jack's points.
Wow, I just thought he just.
And both,
he averaged like 11 a game, didn't he?
And by the way, both of those games came in the NCAA tournament. One was in round 1 when he scored 21 points, and the other was in the Elite 8, which was his best game because Notre Dame didn't know what to do with him. He scored 25 points on 13 shots. He had 5 assists. I mean, he had like 11. I was at that game. It was in Cleveland. It was absurd to watch him play. And it was like Notre Dame didn't know what to do. They double him. He'd kick it out. Open shot. they'd single him and just torching Notre Dame's defense. Mike Bray was like looking over the bench like, what are we doing here? Like, this is somebody that's playing like Darren Peterson could play, when the other coach goes, there's nothing I can do. It was like Kansas against Villanova in the Final Four. If it's like, well, no, let's go big here. Okay, well, they just took their 4-man out to the 3-point line and knocked down threes. Okay, let's go small. Okay, well, they just took that guy and posted your guy up and went inside. What are you supposed to do? There is no matchup answer for that particular team the way they were constructed, and they won the national championship that year. But for Kansas, that was a pretty difficult task for, was it Azubuike?
Azubuike on Amari Spellman.
Yes, that's exactly I was trying to think of the names. It was Spellman and Azubuike. Put Azubuike in there, and Spellman goes, cool, come on out here to the corner. Come on out here, corner. Oh, you're not going to do it? Here comes a 3. We got to get Doak out of the game. Spellman, go down to the block now and go do what you need to do, and we'll kick it out to 3-point guys elsewhere. That's just that matchup in that game. It's also what Cat was against Notre Dame. But can Darren find that while other guys around him? Because, again, it wasn't just Karl-Anthony Towns hitting all those shots. It was, we double him, somebody else knocks down the shot. And he's playing within the offense. He's not double-teamed and I'm awesome and let me go and still, hook shot from 15 feet because I'm on it. No, it was, I got the ball, double-team, boom, kick it out, swing it, open shot, bang. And they needed every one of those because they only won by 2. Because Notre Dame was really good that day. They just couldn't handle one player on the floor. And that's the difference of having maybe the number 1 pick, is when you get in a game like that, and this is what you imagine with Darren Peterson, right? When it's all clicking, not wanting it to be March when you're still wondering what it would look like, but when it's all clicking in a game where you have to have it to make a Final Four against a team that is playing great basketball and is game for your opponent that night, and you've got your number 1 pick that is awesome, but he's also playing within the structure, and other guys are hitting shots and playing as an overall team, and it took everything you had to win by 2 points, even with a really talented team. That's what you imagine Darren Peterson having in the tournament when you have to have it against a Michigan or a Duke or whoever. It's like, man, remember that game Darren Peterson dropped 25 on 12 shots and had 7 assists? And Melvin Council hit threes and Trey White hit threes? Like, yeah, well, they were open. Yeah, because they couldn't figure out how to guard Darren Peterson. And we haven't really seen that this year to that degree, but didn't really see that with Karl-Anthony Towns at Kentucky either until Elite Eight. They absolutely had to have it. Now, the next game against Wisconsin, he only scored 16, and they ended up losing by 7 points to Wisconsin, and those things happen. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, and I want to talk about some of the reporting that's been done for Miami of Ohio. And we talk about the undefeated season. What if they don't win their conference? What happens there? And I wonder if the selection committee will take into account some of the reporting that has come out with Freedom of Information Act on Miami of Ohio and the scheduling. I think it's interesting. We'll do that coming up next.
Your Friday nights just got better because NBA Happy Hour is live on FanDuel. That's what I'll be doing tonight. You can tell, you can hear me. I'm sick. I feel like bleep. So what am I going to do? Lay my ass on the couch, go to FanDuel, have some fun with NBA Happy Hour. That's all I'm doing tonight. You can bet on it. Every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern, FanDuel's running limited time specials to pregame your weekend. We're talking boosts, bonuses, surprises, all dropping right in the app. So make sure you are, again, on FanDuel from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern tonight. It's the perfect way to kick off the weekend. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of that Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern, only on FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Visit FanDuel.com/local to get started.
21 plus and present in Missouri. Opt-in required. Rewards are non-withdrawable. Restrictions apply, including bonus and token expiration, leg requirements, and max wager amounts. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. I know the answer from Sterling because he has championed Miami of Ohio, if they don't win the MAC, still getting into the NCAA tournament as an at-large bid, much to the chagrin of Bruce Pearl. But the reporting that's been done by a couple of different individuals, one by Matt Brown at Extra Points. He's got a Substack there that he does a lot of reporting on college athletics, and he put in a Freedom of Information request to Miami of Ohio on teams they tried to schedule because their AD said they had made phone calls to 75 to 90 schools this year trying to schedule teams. And the common answer that they got was teams in the net rankings 275 or less is the level of team that the Power 4, Power 5 with the Big East were willing to pay for a bye game. And Miami of Ohio didn't meet that criteria, and it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. So calling 75 to 90 schools or reaching out to them or different emails. So he put in the Freedom of Information request to see, okay, how many schools did they reach out to? And what Matt Brown found was specifically email form. That's all he could really have was the emails. He's not getting access to the phone records, right? It's not an investigation. So the emails, there were 20 different schools that they sent emails to trying to set up dates, that they had kept a number of dates open that they had to fill late with like a couple of non-Division I teams, like a Maine or other teams that it's like, well, we have to fill the schedule out because nobody took us up on the offer. So Pitt and Wisconsin did not reply. Pitt and Wisconsin both put out feelers for looking for a bye game on these dates. They sent emails, said, our dates are open. Can we work something out to work out a bye game on that? We have open dates then. Neither team replied to Miami of Ohio. They sent emails to Marquette, Kansas, Oklahoma State, BYU, Virginia Tech, and some others. Those replies were, sorry, our schedules are already full on those dates. So we're not going to break contracts and move some things around. Appreciate you reaching out. At least there was a response. They just had their schedule already filled because a lot of these teams happen, early in the year, the calendar year. Like right now, you're starting to look ahead, May, June. It's not college football schedules that are built non-conference 5 years in advance. Some of them are built 2 months in advance that you set up a bye game. So, and the AD saying that reaching out by phone to teams in the A10, the Mountain West, all of these different conferences, and everybody along the way said, not worth it to play you. One, that sucks for them to be in that position because they're too good to get a bye game. They're not bad enough for teams. They're too good. I say they're not good enough for a team to lose to that doesn't hurt their resume, but they're too good for a team to take a chance on playing because that team doesn't feel like it helps their resume by winning that team to take the chance enough to where it could hurt the resume and also paying money. Because one of the dates that they reached out to Pitt didn't respond. Pitt did get a bye game against a different team in which they lost. Pitt lost that bye game on the date that they had put out the feeler. There were other teams like Oklahoma State, Wisconsin, I'd mentioned that, I think Marquette, that had, I don't know if this is like an AD board or something like that, but there were these lists that almost looked like it was like a Reddit or something that, hey, looking for a bye game, here are the dates that we have open. Net rating, 275 or less. Oklahoma State, net rating, 250 or less or lower for these bye games. Miami reaches out, you don't match the criteria. Sorry, you're ranked a little bit too high last year in the net coming into the season, not going to do it. My question is, with the reporting here, that it clearly isn't just the AD going, we tried, did you? Well, I believe the phone call point that he brought up with Yahoo's story, given Matt Brown's actual reporting on the email part of it and getting the response or no response, should that factor in to the tournament selection committee when you go, they didn't play anybody, and it's like, yeah, but they tried, but it doesn't mean they would have won those games. Even if they tried, they may have lost those games, but they weren't given the opportunity because some of the bigger schools did not want to pay for the chance of hurting their resume and losing against a pretty darn good mid-major team that wasn't so good that it would help their resume by playing that home game. I know your answer, Sterling.
Yeah, they're scared. Those teams are scared.
The teams that didn't respond to the teams that said, no, you're ranked too high in the net, I would say are scared. But teams that had said, those open dates you have, we already have these. Maybe if they reached out earlier and Kansas was like, yeah, no, thank you, might be. But Kansas was like, we're not going to break our contracts with other teams for a bye game for you. Reach out in the future.
Dude, they're ranked 19th in the country. They lose one game that makes them out of the tournament. That's absurd.
I don't think it, I'm with you. I think they should be in the tournament. I'm fine with them being in the tournament. But I also wonder how the selection committee handles this. Because on one hand, it's like, do we want to ding them because they didn't play anybody? Do we want to credit them because they clearly tried? They made all these phone calls to all these conferences. They went to the A10, the Mountain West, all these different schools and said, do you want to play games? They weren't looking for a bye game with the A10 or Mountain West. They just couldn't get an opponent to agree to play them. I wonder how much that factors in of we didn't even get the opportunity to play those games. We were trying. We weren't ducking anybody. We were trying to play these games, and nobody would agree to do it because they didn't want to lose to us. Doesn't that kind of make us a tournament team? Doesn't that kind of make the point that we're trying to make? These teams said, no, you're too good. We don't want to play you. Wouldn't that make us a tournament team since we went undefeated and then lost in the championship or semifinal of our conference tournament? What's more difficult, winning the regular season conference and going undefeated, or winning a one-game elimination tournament in which you may have won or lost that particular game in how you played?
I have a couple different thoughts when it comes to Miami, Ohio. Number one, why is there any incentive if they're left out of the tournament for losing in the conference tournament to play in that? If you go, well, then what was the point of the regular season? If some team who's sub 500 gets hot 3 games in a row, they deserve for doing nothing in the regular season, winning 3 games, that gets them into the dance. That's dumb in my opinion. Second part to this. The MAC is not as bad as people are making it out to be. Akron has 25 wins. Kent State has 22 wins. So 2 teams from that conference getting into the tournament, I got no issue with. It'd be one thing if they were 30, 31-0, and second place was 16 and 15. Totally different story then. Third part to this.
Yeah, are they undefeated in the America East? And it's like, do we want to give 2 bids to the America East?
Yeah, you wouldn't want to do that because those are
Right.
16 seeds.
Yeah.
Third part to this, they're not Gonzaga, where Gonzaga is head and shoulders better than everybody, or historically, everybody in the WAC. Where it's like St. Mary's might get them one time, but Gonzaga goes into the tournament every year at 30-1. When was the last time we heard of an undefeated team from the MAC? We don't. And the fourth part of this for me is the NCAA tournament is about storylines. Okay, so if you hate Miami of Ohio, you go, this is ridiculous. They're 31-0. If Auburn had that schedule, Auburn would be 31-0. Possible. Yeah, possible. We will never know because they wouldn't play that schedule. But if Miami of Ohio is 31-0, let's say they win the conference tournament, they're 34-0 or 33-0, whatever it be, and they're an 11 seed, and Kentucky beats them by 40, it's still a game that everybody's going to watch because they're invested in it.
Yeah.
I would much rather see this storyline of how good are they really? And if they beat Kentucky or somebody that's similar to them on the 6th line, it's a great story. If they get smoked, then all of their haters were proven right. I would rather see that 11 seed than 500 Auburn in there for whatever reason because 100%. Bruce Pearl's advocating for him.
Yeah, I agree. And what I want to see happen, I want Miami of Ohio to get in because I hate the conversation about who the 69th, 70th, 71st team is. I do. If Missouri doesn't get in, I promise you on Monday of Selection Sunday, my response will be win more games. That'd be if Miami of Ohio doesn't get in, win more games. It sucks. But your conference was set up to not give the automatic bid to the regular season champion. The Ivy League used to do that. Then they changed it to the conference championship like the other conferences did. In fact, I've talked to James Jones, the head coach of Yale, a number of times at the NCAA tournament. We actually talked to him on Radio Row a lot. He's a great interview. And it's funny, he said, when I first got to Yale, I hated the fact that it was a regular season title because we weren't very good. We had no chance of making the tournament. And then we changed the conference tournament. I loved it because we had a chance. In fact, we won it one time. Now that we're winning the Ivy League every year, not as big of a fan of giving out the automatic bid to the conference tournament champion because we've spent the whole season winning the league, but, it's give and take, things like that. Well, your conference set it up for the conference championship to get the automatic bid. That sucks. Take it up with them, win more games. Because arguing about 69 through 73, 74 is then giving weight to, well, that's why we're expanding the tournament. Now these teams can get in the tournament, which is, something that I don't want to see happen. I don't think you should mess with something that's already really good with the NCAA tournament. So I hope Miami of Ohio just go and win your conference tournament. I'll be rooting for Miami of Ohio in the MAC. A lot of bubble teams will because then it takes away one of the at-large bids if they were to lose, because I think they're going to get into the NCAA tournament even if they lose their conference tournament. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling more zone next. We'll talk with Matt Derrick. Football, huh? We'll talk some football? Football.
Let's get his thoughts on Miami of Ohio.
He follows college basketball. He'll have an opinion on it. Matt Derrick ain't afraid to weigh in on something. He's not going to shy away from anything. In fact, we'll sit Matt Derrick down with us. We'll talk some World Cup with him. He ain't afraid of that.
What about ghosts?
He ain't afraid of no ghosts either.
Okay.
Because he knows who to call.
Not Trent McDuffie anymore.
No, that's true. He won't be. You can call him. I don't think Trent McDuffie is McDuffie an AH. He liked Matt Derrick. He actually said to Matt Derrick, "What's up, my guy?" All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcia. In action right about now. Do we have Tubi? Because
Sounds dirty. I don't know what that is.
It's free. I know that.
Team Venezuela is playing right now at 11 o'clock in the World Baseball Classic on Tubi, which you've got Salvi and Michael Garcia in the lineup. So Michael Darcia running the show with Michael Garcia and Salvi, and then Avila out of the bullpen for Team Venezuela. But they get their pool play started today, right now, and then Seth Lugo will be starting today for Puerto Rico at 5 o'clock on FS1. So Lugo's on the mound, and then the Dominican only has Carlos Estevez of any Royals on there.
It's only him, the only player.
Yeah, it's crazy. He's 26. Carlos Estevez is.
And one Charlie Sheen.
That's weird, man. And one Emilio Estevez. But the Dominican get underway 6 o'clock on FS2. Italy does not play today. They play Brazil tomorrow. And all of their games are on Tubi as well, is Italy, except for when Italy plays Team USA on Tuesday. But USA, Brazil tonight, Big Fox, 7 o'clock. Bobby leading off. Logan Webb starting. Tomorrow, Team USA versus Great Britain with Tariq Skubal doing the country a favor. Oh, I'll do you guys. I'll show up and pitch. I'll make a start for you guys. You need me so bad.
I'll pitch 2 innings and fly
If
back.
that. Let's hope he doesn't get hit around in the first. He's only pitching a max 55 pitches for Team USA, which we can get into. I want to talk about that with Mick Schaefer coming up. And the thing is, though, hearing like the personality of Tariq Skubal, I really like him. I really like his personality is fun. The way he interacts with hitters and the way he's like, you got me. Like there's a little Matt Strahm to it of like Matt Strahm, when somebody hits a home run off him, he gets their baseball card and has them sign it, right? He's got 1 million baseball cards. He has a baseball card show. I love that about Matt Strahm. But Skubal has that sort of same personality, even in a game, is like, man, you got me. You got me. Or, got you that time.
The Andrew Luck.
Yeah, but I don't know. This one sort of annoys the hell out of me with that. Because also, and I hate to give away the take, but if you're only going to pitch once, you really need to pitch against Great Britain tomorrow? Like, wouldn't you want to pitch against Puerto Rico? Or if you make the championship against Japan, the Dominican, or Venezuela, one of those 3 teams is who you're going to be facing in the championship if you make it that far. But the semifinal will more than likely be against Puerto Rico? Like, semifinal or the championship, you would think Skubal can only pitch once. Cool, let's do that. Skeens ain't showing up for an inning. Skeens is pitching on Monday against Mexico. Like, how about that, Skubal? Like, the 2 best teams in your pool, U.S. and Mexico, maybe, Skubal, you only pitch against Mexico. And Skeens, who's going to pitch other times. All right, we're going to Great Britain. Cool. Take that, Jazz Chisholm.
Take that, Winston Churchill.
Sorry, Great Britain, Jazz Chisholm. Good luck with your. Looks like the USA is going to torpedo your chances with Skubal. Am I right, Jazz?
Take that, Ringo Starr.
Speaking of jazz and just flowing, Matt Derrick is hanging out with us on this Friday edition of The Zone. Chiefs Digest 41 is the Mike podcast, whether you like it or not. Matt, hello, sir. How are you?
I'm great. I think Tariq Skubal should be pitching against
You're good. You're good.
and Miami of Ohio.
Yes. Did he pitch against Miami of Ohio back in college? I don't know. Did Tariq Skubal go to college? I probably should know that.
Miami of Ohio asked, and Tariq said no.
He said, no, I'd rather pitch against a lesser team. I'm just joking. Again, I like Tariq Skubal. I just think that this feels like he's like, okay, USA, all right, I'll play for you. I mean, stop begging me. Jeez Louise, man. Was he a high school kid?
I'm sure he went to high school at some point.
You don't know that.
Exactly.
You don't know that he did that. He went to Seattle University. Okay. I thought he was a college kid because he wasn't like a top pick or whatever. He was in the 9th round.
After I learned this morning that Miami of Ohio is not in a town called Miami, Ohio, but actually Oxford, Ohio. Is Seattle University in Seattle, or is it in a different town?
It's in Portland.
Just like University of Phoenix isn't in Phoenix. I mean,
It would be funny if it's like is University of Seattle in Seattle, Washington? Actually, in Washington D.C. Like that's the odd part. Is it's actually in Virginia. I would guess that Seattle University
I
is
also
there.
learned from you guys that there are is it just the Dominican? Is it just Dominican replaying? Is it a WBC game on Tubi or?
Yeah, no, it's the WBC.
Wow, that's a great get for Tubi.
Yeah, the WBC is starting. Well, it started the last couple of days with the Asian leg of that with Australia and Travis Bazana going bananas there for Australia.
They should have some World Cup games on Pluto.
They, maybe
What about
they should-
Howdy TV?
Let's see if we can get Tubi. I want to watch. Can we find Tubi up
I
here?
don't even know. Is Howdy a thing?
Duty is. Let's see Salvi and Michael Garcia with Michael Darcia. Hey, Matt Derrick is hanging out with us. I wanted to pass this along real quick. Ricky Scoops, pretty Ricky on the Twitterverse. He typically gets a lot of things right.
Woof woof. There you go.
He has just tweeted something out 2 minutes ago and said, barking rumor says Eagles have made Jalen Carter available in their pursuit for Max Crosby. So he typically doesn't throw. I mean, I would love to know who Ricky Scoops is, man, because he gets so many things right a month beforehand.
I've heard a lot of theories.
Yeah.
But not
Is it Roger
any
Goodell?
specific names or anything.
It's
but
Howie.
More like just where this person must work and everything.
Yeah, interesting. So let's talk about this Kansas City Chiefs team. Matt Derrick is with us. Matt, before we weigh in and have you weigh in on the Trent McDuffie trade, I want to see if Michael.
Nobody said I was going to get weighed today.
Well, I'm sorry about that. Michael, can we play this clip? Because, Sterling, this is what I want to have happen. Hold on. I want Matt to be able to set aside his personal relationship with Trent McDuffie to give us his honest analysis of what this means for the team.
Hey, Trent. Good to see you again.
Good to see you, my guy.
Good to see you, my guy. So take away this personal relationship that you and Trent clearly have.
I forgot about that.
That clearly you and Trent go way back, okay? I want you to take off your Trent's my guy hat. Matt's my guy.
I didn't say he's my guy. He said
What's
I'm
up, my
his
guy?
guy.
Yeah, what's
Hey,
up, my guy?
Trent. Good to see you again.
Good to see you, my guy.
So let's separate the
How you
personal
remembered
relationship.
that? I have no idea.
Let's separate the personal relationship that you two have. What is your analysis? What's your takeaway and your reaction to the move that came down a couple days ago and what the Chiefs got?
I mean, I think it's a win-win-win for everybody. For the Rams, for Trent, for the Chiefs. I don't think that the Chiefs had much of a choice but to trade Trent McDuffie during this period. I mean, I think they had to. I think they had no other choice. The return that they got, I think, was about as good as they could get as well. I don't think that there was anything better out there. This was better than I thought that they would get. I thought that they could get a great return would be a second and a fourth rounder. That would be a really good return. You know, they got better than that.
Yeah.
I mean, they got a one, first of all. I mean, one's better than a two. Even if it's a late one, it's still better than any two. And then you get 3 more picks on top of that. I mean, that's I think Brett Veach did about as well as he possibly could in getting a return on that. And like I said, I think it's great for everybody involved. The Chiefs get what they need, which is draft capital. They get flexibility. They're not tied up with, a $30 million corner that they really can't afford in the grand scheme of things. Trent McDuffie gets to go home, gets to go to Los Angeles, be where he wants to be. He's got his rings. Now he gets to go home. I mean, it's the storybook NFL career for Trent McDuffie. I mean, if he wins a Super Bowl in L.A., even better for him. And now the Rams got somebody that matches up with Seattle. I mean, that's what they needed. And they've got somebody who could actually maybe almost cover Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Yeah, well, because they didn't have that last year. This is why people do fantasy football trades in the NFL, or you come up with these fantasy. Why don't you just trade this and that because that team needs this and this team has that? That seems like an easy connection. Well, this isn't fantasy football. Well, we bring those up because sometimes it is. Because for the last month, we have been talking about on the air here that if the Chiefs trade McDuffie, the Rams make the most sense. They've got 2 first-rounders. They've got the 9th most cap space. They're one of 7 teams that have to spend $50 million more in the 3-year flowing cap CBA agreement of what the minimum money they have to spend is there. And their number 1 need in the offseason is cornerback. And Trent's from L.A. All of it seems like a fantasy. I've got 3 running backs, and I need a wide receiver. You've got no wide receiver. You've got 5 wide receivers and no running backs. Let's make a trade. It seemed too easy to be true, but it also made so much sense that if a team was gonna quote unquote have to overpay for Trent McDuffie, it would be a team that had a massive need and the money that they were required to spend this offseason in a way.
Helps. Absolutely
they had
helps.
to spend it, Where are you going to spend it? You can go crazy in the free agency, but you're not going to find a free agent cornerback like Trent McDuffie.
No,
So
absolutely
it
not.
made too much sense. Typically the trades that are like, oh, A plus B, all that's you're going to get that, don't come together. But sometimes it also does, where it's like this makes too much sense, and both teams looked at it and said, let's work out a deal. Because we joked last Friday that Brett Veach said on Tuesday, well, the first out of the gate is Trent McDuffie, and we're like, yeah, but Les Snead isn't there. Like
Exactly.
you do the same thing in Indianapolis that you would be doing in Kansas City, is just talking to Les Snead over the phone or via Zoom. Like he's not even there, but that is obviously the route they went down.
Yeah, I guess Les Snead does not need to be in Indianapolis for business to take place.
That's exactly right.
And and also a great matchup because again, I mean the Rams value draft picks differently than the Chiefs do, so that helps out. I mean, and I'm not sure that any other team that would have been willing to go as high as a 1 for Trent McDuffie. I think that my impression is that there were several other teams who were interested in maybe offering a 2, but going as high as a 1, Rams were it. And to be able to get the 1 plus get 3 more picks, I mean I think it's a masterful job by because now on top of that you've got a massive contract that you got to give out, and that usually deters teams from offering more picks because they don't want to give up a bunch of picks and then have to turn around and give a guy $30 million a year. And apparently the Rams are willing to do that, and they were willing to get rid of the picks to do it.
Let me throw something out there just from a strategy football standpoint in general. Let's look at it from a couple different angles. One, we're looking at it right now from the angle of the cap exists. You do have to figure out how to stay within the structure of said cap. And so it makes sense to get draft picks. McDuffie, it sucks to lose him because he's a fantastic player and maybe an even better locker room guy from all indications. I loved when Trent McDuffie was at the podium because you could tell like he's giving thought to your question. And not just, well, let me just say something just because I'm here just so I don't get fined, right? But let's look at it from a couple different directions. That one, but also, Matt, let's examine it from what if the cap wasn't an issue? Would this still make sense for the Chiefs to get the draft picks, even if you didn't have to spend $30 million against the cap or whatever? If the cap wasn't an issue, would it still make sense to trade Trent McDuffie for the picks?
That's a really good question, and to me it becomes a little bit more 50-50 on that one if it's worth it, just because I think that much of Trent McDuffie. I think he is that good of a player. I mean, like you said, he's a good locker room presence, all of these things. It's still, getting 4 picks back, period,
right,
is a good return for any player. So yes, and where the Chiefs are trying to, go right now as far as trying to rebuild, the mini rebuild, if you will, or reloading, whatever you want to call it, they need the picks. So to me, McDuffie is good enough that makes it a much more difficult question to say yes to.
Yeah.
Just because, all things being equal, I think you would love to be able to keep Trent McDuffie. If expense wasn't a consideration, yes, you would be trying to keep Trent McDuffie. And I would, without a salary cap, I'd be willing to pay a lot more for Trent McDuffie. But there's a cap, so you are limited to what you can fit in under there.
Yeah, because I was thinking about it last night. I'm like, I don't know that I would make the move if cap wasn't a consideration. And it's like, you're dealing with the salary cap, so what do you do? I don't know that I would make the move. But I would still take the phone call and sit back with my team and examine all possible avenues of the pros and the cons of weighing this, of do you move on from Trent McDuffie for the 29, the 5th, the 6th, the a third next year to help allocate younger players in different places as opposed to just Trent McDuffie. But again, if the cap didn't exist, then just go re-sign Jalen Watson and Brian Cook and all of that stuff. But this in a vacuum of the whole thing, I think I would still examine it. I don't know that I would make the move, but I think that's what sets it over the top for me is that $13 million immediately back in the cap and the cap space this year and the next couple of years that the Rams will be paying that the Chiefs can allocate elsewhere along with the 4 draft picks they have. I mean, that could be 6 different players that they get for Trent McDuffie with the draft picks and the cap that they would spend.
And there's one factor that I haven't heard a lot of people take into consideration with this, and it's the opposite part of the equation with, take the salary cap out of it. One important piece that's in this that we have not talked about is that what did Trent McDuffie want? Yeah. And what was his representation trying to get for him? Because I imagine it was a very difficult decision for Trent McDuffie. I mean, I know he loves Kansas City, he loves the organization, so I don't think he was not looking to leave.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I mean, he's going to be getting a contract, and it's like, what do you want to get paid? What do you think you are worth? I don't have any insight into what Trent McDuffie was actually asking for, anything of this nature. But I can tell you that his representation, if they were starting at only 20, asking for 25, we're probably selling him short. I mean, you don't settle. You might settle for 25. You're not asking for 25.
Hey, you're asking for
so
30.2.
You're asking for exactly. You're asking for
100,000 more than Sauce.
And I still, I mean, I don't know that I can justify paying him more than Sauce. No. Could I justify paying him 29.9? Okay, we're probably splitting the hairs here. There's a number at which you're willing to pay him under 30, but I mean, that's the thing is that these two sides I don't think were ever terribly close. And Brett Veach is always very careful to talk about, the exchanging of numbers and if it ever happens and everything. And Brett also is, and I think in some cases he's been pretty proactive, and in other cases, if a deal is going to go on, he's much more likely to wait until the deadline to try and get a deal done rather than get something done early, because I think he always feels like if you get something early, you probably have paid too much. So you're probably better off waiting until the end, both sides. You just got to be the one that's willing to not blink.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's worked out for him sometimes. Maybe it hasn't. But that's the thing on McDuffie is that it takes 2 to tango. And I just don't think that the McDuffie camp, and I'll put it on his representation because they're the ones looking out for him, I don't think they were ever terribly close in even being able to talk numbers, because I don't think that McDuffie staying in Kansas City was frankly an option long term, because his side wanted to get paid.
Yeah.
And there was no way to get paid in Kansas City.
Well, it's funny. We asked last week, Matt, and you clearly got this one right. We asked last week to rank the scenarios that were most likely for Trent McDuffie in 2026, and it was extension, trade, playing on the 5th-year option. And you ranked number 1, 5th-year option, number 2, trade, and said they're not going to get a long-term deal done. Like, this doesn't sound like that's – they're either playing 5th-year option, maybe tag and trade or something like that, but it's not going to be a long-term extension this year. It's way more likely playing on the 5th-year option than it is a long-term deal. And I agreed with that, because what we talked about last week and the connection that I made was – if they wanted to get a deal done and they thought they were close, they would have got it done last year. But they talked. They had dialogue last year, and they didn't get a deal done. So why would McDuffie's camp lower their asking price this year? And why would the Chiefs, after last year, increase their price that they're willing to give McDuffie when they're even in more dire straits with the cap? And he had a lesser season this last year than he's had at any point in his career. Like, it was the worst statistical season that he has had, with completion percentage at 68%. Passer rating was up at, mid-90s against. Like, he's a phenomenal player, but the numbers didn't warrant to say, you're right, we should have given you the money last year, we'll give it to you this year. And if they're that far apart, do we find a partner? And I don't know that the Chiefs talked to Trent or anything like that, but it does seem that there is a pattern of the Chiefs sending players to places that they would prefer. Tyreek, Jets, Dolphins, do you have a preference? Miami? Let's work it out with Miami. and we like the Hall a little bit better, but also he wants to go there. But it wouldn't have been bad to take multiple second-rounders for the Jets either. That might have been the better deal, right? Tooney, we're trading you. Where would you like to go? The Bears are an option. I'd love to go to Chicago. Trade him to Chicago. Trent, on record, the only other team he'd want to play for outside of Kansas City, the Rams. Now, maybe it just happened to be that it might have been sent to the 49ers if it was the exact same scenario with San Francisco than L.A. But it does seem to be a pattern there, Matt, that maybe it's coincidental, but there have been 3 trades with significant players on the Chiefs that they have sent them to destinations that they preferred.
Yeah, and I mean, it's probably coincidental more than anything else. But then again, I mean, if there's a destination that the player wants to go, that probably means that the team wants them to. And if you get that, then that's the sweet spot.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because then they're willing to make the trade.
Then they're willing to make the trade and everything. And let's face it, I mean, the Jets did their job. They were a stalking horse. They were there and involved in that discussions just to drive up the value.
That's great.
Because you couldn't have the Dolphins bidding against themselves.
Yeah,
and maybe somebody.
I mean, were the Giants serious contenders here to drive up the price? Because that was Sam McDowell's reporting, is that it came down to the Rams and Giants, but number 5 pick wasn't in place, so maybe was it Kayvon Thibodeau and picks, like a player in picks that we've seen done in the past? Like, I don't know. I haven't seen any more reporting on that.
I mean, a second would have been the best. So I mean, maybe the Giants were willing to throw in their top pick in the second round. But
they don't have a third rounder this year.
But they also weren't. Yeah, they also weren't willing to throw anything extra. So my understanding is that yes, that there were some other teams interested, but nobody was willing to, 1, go with a first, and then 2, go in with additional picks as well.
Yeah, Houston has the Giants' third rounder this year, so they weren't giving you number 5. So if they give you 37, then the next best thing would be 105.
Yeah.
So instead of 29 and then 5th, 6th, and third rounder next year, which I hope that Brett Veach doesn't devalue third rounders next year and say, well, that's kind of like a 5th or 6th rounder this year. Actually, it might be more valuable next year because the draft next year seems to be a lot better than this year. So that third rounder might be even more valuable next year than a third rounder this year. But I don't think you should devalue 2027's draft in the third rounder. So they got a 1st, a 3rd, a 5th, and a 6th as opposed to a 2nd and a 4th and a 5th from the Giants, unless Kayvon Thibodeau was thrown in there and it was a 2nd, 4th, next year's 3rd, and Thibodeau or something along those lines. Then you're saying, okay, what do you think of Thibodeau and what does he want in his contract? Because then you'd have to pay him. Exactly. Rams are turning around and paying McDuffie. You would be trading for Thibodeau, who would have the leverage in that negotiation because you just traded for me. All right? You could have got a first rounder from the Rams, but you took this deal because I was part of it. You want me? Let's get to the negotiating table.
You're only making a deal like that if you're then going to pay top of the market.
Yep.
Because that's what the Rams understood. They understood the only way we can make this deal is if we're paying Trent McDuffie to top of the market.
Yeah.
So I don't think the Chiefs would have been interested in making a deal like that and then paying top of the market too.
Let's take a timeout. We'll come back on the other side of the break. We'll look at what the Chiefs have on defense right now, where they are deficient right now, 5 days away from free agency opening up. And was Brett Veach planning this move at the beginning of free agency last year? I'll ask Matt that question with one specific move that they made. Is there a connection, or are we just searching to connect the dots, or me personally? We'll do that next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. Michael Darcia. Matt Derrick, Chiefs Digest 41 is the Mike podcast, hanging out with us. Some news around the NFL. The Bears are planning to release Tremaine Edmonds, so that'll be a linebacker on the open market, and 31 other teams will go, hey, team I root for cover, maybe they should go get him. Tremaine Edmonds to insert team here. Alvin Kamara's contract is being restructured, and Ricky Scoops, we said, had the tweet earlier that the Eagles have made Jalen Carter available, or he's hearing that Jalen Carter is made available in the pursuit of Raiders' Max Crosby, has a tweet, canine update from a canine. I thought that was funny.
Woof, woof.
Said, I've been told the Chiefs are the current favorite to land Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker III. The Giants have also been interested. Again, he's been pretty spot on in almost everything he puts out there. So something to keep an eye on. Just depends on how that market turns out. So I asked the question or posed the scenario when we went to break of, did Brett Veach, or were they planning this move or this potential move last year? So Matt, let me ask you this. March 11th, 2025. I don't know the timing of the dialogue with Trent McDuffie, his camp, and the Chiefs. If it took place before that, if maybe they got a feeler for Trent McDuffie before free agency of 2025, just to say, here's what we would be looking at, and do we franchise tag Trey Smith and sign him, or are we going to spend that money on McDuffie and then see if we can sign Trey Smith without franchise tagging him? So maybe before free agency happened, they had a conversation with what McDuffie would be looking for that offseason and said, okay, then let's shift and go to Trey Smith. But on March 11, 2025, the Chiefs signed Christian Fulton. 2 years, $10 million per year. 2 for 20 or whatever it was. Yeah, 2 for 20, $15 million guaranteed. Is there a connection there, Matt, that last year at this time, the Chiefs were wondering if a year from now they were going to have to trade Trent McDuffie? What will the free agent cornerback market look like next year? We may have to deal with Jalen Watson as a free agent. Can we find value this offseason to at least have somebody in place on a 2-year deal, not a 1-year prove it, would give us the option of saying, this is a guy we can put in there if we were to lose this guy or that guy. If Watson walks, we've got $10 million in Christian Fulton. If we have to trade Trent McDuffie, we've got $10 million in Christian Fulton, and we put him into our defense with Dave Merritt and Steve Spagnuolo. Was there a connection here with those two things, or am I creating correlation causation?
No, you're not creating it. It's legitimate. I mean, the Chiefs were expecting to absolutely in 2026, I mean, a year ago at this point, they were 100% certain that they would either not have Trent McDuffie or Jalen Watson on this team in 2026. They knew that one of them would be gone, 100% for certain that just would not be on. Whether it was Watson left via free agency because they were not going to be able to sign both of them. Knew that was the reality of it. Possible that they could get something done with Trent McDuffie, but weren't sure. But they knew that if they signed McDuffie, then they couldn't sign Watson. If McDuffie were to leave, then they'd love to have Watson back. Still do, by the way. I mean, let's just put a pin in that one. They'd still love to be able to sign Jalen Watson and still have him back. But that was the plan. And then that's why you draft Noah Williams as well, with the plan that, hey, you've got two guys that are going to be, either one's a free agent and the other one's going to be on the last year of his deal. You need to be prepared for any eventual scenario. And yes,
why
Christian
they
Fulton,
trade up for him too.
Christian Fulton was designed to be the buffer. It was like, okay, here's going to be your number 3 guy behind McDuffie and Watson. Get to play a lot, and then can step into the lineup. And if he beats out Jalen Watson, I mean, that was the other benefit too. Because I mean, even at that point, Watson would, I wouldn't have said was 100% the number 2 corner a year ago at this time. I mean, he was coming off the injury as well, but you still had Najee Johnson and Josh Williams. I mean, and the Chiefs were continuing to look for one of those guys to be consistent. And at this point a year ago, they still had not seen that from any of them. I mean, Jalen Watson was the closest that they'd had.
But he had
the
battled injuries,
had been the issue and everything. And he had the injury at the end of, I guess, last year, too. So, yeah, I mean, that was the key. And so Watson played great. I mean, contract year, he played very well. So, you didn't have those issues there. So he played well. Josh Williams continued to struggle, but you ended up being happy with what you got from Noah Williams. And Christian Fulton came along enough at the end of the season that they're like, okay, we've seen enough. Now, you can see what happens with McDuffie, and if you're still able to sign McDuffie, great. If not, you got with Jalen Watson. You're going to try and sign him, trade McDuffie. I mean, yes, all of these pieces were in place, and I think that I always said last year and last summer, because my point was that the Chiefs, when you look at the big 5-year, 3-year, whatever window you want to look at it from, the salary cap puzzle, the Chiefs only really had room for one piece. They had room for Trey Smith or Trent McDuffie. They didn't have room for both. So when the Chiefs tagged Trey Smith and then didn't trade him, it was then like, okay, I mean, obviously they could afford to let Trey play under the franchise tag if they had to. They did not want to, but because the cap went up enough last year that they were able to at least then. Because remember, they were not going to tag him until the cap went up enough that they were like, oh, wait, we can squeeze him in now. And that gave them options. But once they got – and if Trey Smith had played under the tag, then I think that Trey Smith probably goes to free agency this year, and the Chiefs do everything that they can to probably do get Trent McDuffie done. Maybe they do get it done. But once Trey Smith was like, yep, we're going to do it, I think that took that window. I just don't think that the money in the slot – was there anymore in that long-term plan.
Do you think they had an idea at that point of what McDuffie's camp was looking for as they made the decision on Trey Smith?
And they would have, if they could have gotten something done last offseason long-term, they would have.
Yeah, right.
But that was clearly, McDuffie's camp being like, wait a minute, let's see what happens here because the market can continue to change. We don't think Trent's value is going to go down. So, and clearly they were right. Its value didn't go down. And if anything, I mean, maybe this trade gets a little bit easier because I was surprised that Trent's value was not affected by the season he had in 2025 because it was not his best season.
Yeah. And
some of that was certainly maybe a little bit of the team around him. Everybody struggled a little bit. But, again, I think that part of it was that – and I'm going to modify what we've talked about before and even what I've said before because I've said that Trent McDuffie is best slot corner in the league. And that's true. But that's, I think – undervaluing him a little bit. I'm going to just change the definition of what I call him, my tag for him. See, I think he's one of the 3 best corners in the league against guys who are 6 feet and under.
Yeah,
I mean, I think
that's a good qualifier.
It's Sauce, it's Stingley, and I think that's about it. I mean, I think it's the 3 of them.
I don't think it's a bad qualifier.
I will take Trent McDuffie if the guy got across from him is 6 feet tall or less, maybe even 6'1". I'll give him 6'1". I'll put Trent McDuffie on him every single time, and I'll take Trent McDuffie against every single receiver in that scenario. You put a guy who's 6'3" above him, and I don't care. I mean, if he's just an average 6'3" receiver, that receiver all of a sudden has the advantage over Trent McDuffie. I mean, it's just a unfortunate measure of size and. We saw it last year get exposed that teams tried their best to make sure that they could match up bigger guys than McDuffie. When they did that, it worked out well for them.
Yeah, the last 2 years on the outside cornerback, moving from the slot, he went 2024, 60.7 completion percentage, 2025, 66.3, 2024 quarterback rating against 87.4, 2025, 94.7. I mean, it didn't go the way that he was probably hoping, but it still resulted in a return that was more than I thought they would get, and the Rams being willing to pay that amount of money. And when you try to look at the value there, I almost hate bringing those numbers up because then it's like, okay, well, now are you tearing down the player just to, boost up what the Chiefs did? No, I think all of it has to be taken into account in the fact that he is one of the best slot corners in football. He just doesn't play that position. So the value that you're getting out of him, and I've called it the McDuffie, dilemma that the Chiefs have had for a year now, is what do you do with him, who's a stud slot, but he is playing on the outside and wants outside money. And if you pay him outside money, you're paying him at his second best position. But if you pay him outside money and put him in his best position, you're paying him outside money for a position that is cheap. It'd be like paying a wide receiver to play tight end. You're paying a wide receiver all this money and you're moving him down to pay tight end, to play tight end. Well, the tight ends get less money. Yeah, but that's what he wanted, and we needed to have him. Well, maybe somebody else should pay that, and you can get value in return. And I certainly think they did. And the reason I asked the question of the connection is Christian Fulton made $10 million last year. In 2 years, $10 million, $15 million guaranteed. In Brett Veach's time, only one cornerback. I saw this with Bill Barnwell, his post, and it was surprising. I went back and looked, and I'm like, oh wow, I didn't realize this. The only cornerback with Brett Veach as the GM to make more than $3.5 million in 1 year. The only cornerback to do that. Before Christian Fulton was McDuffie's rookie year because he signed the $8 million signing bonus.
Yeah.
McDuffie's rookie year is the 21st overall pick, and last year Fulton. So they changed strategy to a degree, and my only my thought on that was, why would they change strategy? Well, they had to change strategy in my mind because you pay for insurance. You either pay for insurance up front, or if something happens, you pay more on the back end. So you pay for insurance, and it's like, wow, we never needed that insurance policy. But just in case, looks like they needed the insurance policy in Christian Fulton, and they paid for it up front. They didn't get the value in 2025 from Christian Fulton. They may get more value in 2026 for Christian Fulton, but now they actually have to put the claim in on the policy, on the insurance policy of Christian Fulton. Seeing that from Bill Barnwell, I'm like, I didn't realize that. So now Christian Fulton there are two players, McDuffie rookie year and Christian Fulton back-to-back years will be the only players to make $3.5 million more at the cornerback position with Brett Veach as the GM. They just don't pay it.
I mean, and again, I've always said that it's because when people have said that, hey, Brett Veach doesn't put the resources into the cornerback position, I'm like, it's mostly been some circumstances. I mean, it's because they would have. I mean, they were they were ready to make a long-term deal with Kyle Fuller. What was it, 6-7 years ago? I mean, they were all over that possibility before. I think the Bears tagged him. It was a transition tag maybe or something that they did with him. But yeah, I mean, the Chiefs were all over that. They wanted to bring in, and they would have paid him.
Yeah.
They haven't kept their own guys.
Charvarius Ward, they were going to keep him, but he priced himself out with what San Francisco was going to pay.
Yeah, I mean, San Francisco just offered more money.
They just didn't get in a bidding war. Yeah, and L'Jarius Sneed, they cut bait at the perfect time.
They knew they knew their guy.
He's missed 22 of 34 games since they traded him and has a 108 quarterback rating against in the games he's played.
Yeah.
They cut bait at the perfect time.
One thing that the Chiefs have done very, very well under Brett Veach has been to generally walk on players at the right time.
Yeah.
They've kept a couple of guys, but in some
I think
cases
McDuffie will be better than Sneed, just for the record.
Yeah.
But they have not gotten a bidding war for Charvarius Ward, and they moved on from Sneed at the right time.
And I don't get any indication that they think that that this is a referendum on McDuffie, that they think that there's injuries are bound to come or anything of that nature. I mean, the expectation is that they think that McDuffie's going to be great.
Yeah.
Is he going to be $30.1 million great? That's debatable. And are the draft picks going to be more valuable for them going forward? Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like we talked about. I mean, when you consider everything all being equal and bringing in the salary cap into the equation, the picks at this point are going to be probably more valuable than 3 or 4 more years of Trent McDuffie at $30 million a year. Yeah. I mean, guaranteeing him. I mean, what do you do? I mean, you might get $90 million guaranteed from the Rams and $120 over 4 year kind of a deal.
Yeah, because Sauce got 4 for $120, or 120.4 because it's 30.1, so he could be the highest paid.
30.2.
Yeah, so 30.2 for 4 years. So hey, there's 120.8 for Trent McDuffie, and I think like 80 something of that was guaranteed. The contract you're not going to see is Stingley got 3 for 90 with 89 guaranteed. At that point, what's the point? just to make it
Like
three.
$1 million.
Yes.
We need to make sure he
So it's
shows
like-
up to make that
Yeah.
extra million.
It's like guaranteed at signing was 70, but
Don't
practical
slack off. Don't slack off, Derek.
practical guarantee was 89 million, which the practical guarantee is what I go off of because teams aren't typically going to take a massive hit on a guaranteed deal for somebody that's probably pretty darn good anyway. So you're not going to see that from McDuffie having 88% of your contract fully guaranteed. Or practically guaranteed. So it'll probably be somewhere around Sauce Gardner is the contract they'll be looking at. And I just don't think the Chiefs should be in the business of paying that, no matter how good Trent McDuffie is. So I think the value is there. I like the deal that they made. And to me, it's just like Tyreek Hill. Are you worse today than you were on Wednesday morning? Yes. But in the aggregate, in adding up the collective of the cap and the draft picks, will you be better overall as a team? The answer after Tyreek was yes, because of how they filled those spots. That's now up to Brett Veach and his team to fill those spots and the coaches to get the most out of those players. That's the next step here.
And just like with Tyreek Hill leaving, you were willing to do that and could do that because you felt that you had the quarterback to be able to compensate for that. And Mahomes did for a couple of years, and we could have a debate about what happened to the receivers group in maybe the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But hey, they won 2 Super Bowls.
Yep.
After the after the trade.
After the trade, yeah.
After the trade. I always forget whether it was 1 or 2, but there was
Those
the 2.
two, yeah.
And so they had a reason they were able to do that. And now, why are they willing to walk on Trent McDuffie? Well, because they got Dave Merritt, they got Steve Spagnuolo, who are 2 of the best guys in the world when it comes to coaching defensive backs. And they have shown that you give these guys lumps of clay, they'll turn them into players.
We'll take a time out on the other side of the break. We'll ask Matt Derrick 3 defensive players that are going into free agency now that Trent McDuffie is gone to rank those defensive players that he would like to see the Chiefs re-sign. We'll do that next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Mick Schaefer will hang out with him coming up in the noon hour and the 1 o'clock hour as well. Hanging out with Matt Dare, Chiefs Digest 41 is the Mike podcast. All right, let's rank these free agents for the Chiefs now that we know the answer of Trent McDuffie. It's like, well, is McDuffie going to be here or not? Well, we know he's going to be in L.A. So we'll go with the 3 defensive players that are free agents in no particular order. I'll present these in no particular order, but Matt, I would like you to place them in order of importance that you would like to see the Chiefs resign. Is it Chanel, Cook, Watson? Those are the 3 guys. Who would you place 1, 2, and 3 in importance to bring back with McDuffie in LA?
I mean, I'm almost going to just remove Leo from the equation because even though would be a nice player to have back, I just don't think it's going to happen. Yeah. I mean, I think the Chiefs would be interested, but I'm not sure there's going to be even much discussion because I think Leo wants to be a 3-down player, again, like we talked about. And the only thing that can really mess that thing up is if the shoulder injury is going to hamper him and going to deter teams from coming on to him. But my impression was that shoulder was not going to be a big issue, and he was going to be ready before OTAs and everything. So I don't think that's going to be a problem. But if it is, that's the only thing that might make it interesting. And if that's the case, then it would probably be more like a 1-year prove-it deal if he did come back. But I'm assuming that Leo's not going to be back. The McDuffie trade makes Jalen Watson number 1. I mean, that's the player that you would love to be able to get back. I mean, if some team falls in love with him, be ready for him to walk, because I know I was in the locker room when the Deron Bland contract extension got done mid-season. And that was what he got, $22.5 million. And let's just say Jalen Watson was very interested in that number. He was very interested in that number. Trent, I don't think, was in the locker room at that point, so I didn't get to see what Trent thought. But I know Trent was going to be on the north side of that number anyway. But Jalen, to his credit, I mean, cornerbacks have to have a little bit of diva in them, and Jalen does not have much diva. I mean, he's
pretty quiet.
The Chiefs have a pretty good cornerback room. I mean, you have to have a healthy ego as a corner. I mean, if you don't, there's going to be some problems because you got to have that ability to just wipe out the last play and move on. So I'm not saying he's got a big head or anything like that, because Jalen's been a really good dude too. Just like Trent. I mean, I will say both those guys, and I do want to say this just as an aside about McDuffie. That dude never ducked anything in the locker room. Yeah. He answered questions every single day, and on a team where players are sometimes allowed to say, "I already talked this week. I don't have to talk again this week." Trent McDuffie would talk to you every single day in the locker room. He never turned down a request after a game. He was always accountable. So I'll be honest. I mean, I don't mind sharing this. I sought him out at the end of the season to say, look, and because I knew there was a possibility. I knew that might be the last time I ever see Trent McDuffie in a locker room again. And so I'm just like, hey, just as a professional to another, I appreciate the fact that you set a good example, that you never turned down media requests, that you answered the questions honestly, thoughtfully, that you always treated us professionally and treated everybody well. Like, hey, I just want you to know that we do appreciate that. I mean, I think the people do appreciate that, and want to make sure he knew that. And because I think it's you should tell players when they've done a good job, when they do a good job of helping you out. You should acknowledge that.
Good to see you, my guy.
That's what is that what McDuffie said to you? Good to see you, my
Okay.
guy. Thank you, my guy.
See, that's the thing. I think he says that to everybody.
He only said it to you. I know that. So Chanel's out.
So Jalen is. I mean, can you pay him $22.5? No, you're not paying Jalen Watson $22.5. But
let's
no,
just
that's
put
the
the
one.
priorities. Maybe you don't go and pay that, but the priorities that you would look at.
He's the top priority,
Yeah.
and then Cook. And again, it's at the right price. Do you want to get Brian Cook at $15 million per? No, you don't.
Yeah.
12 would be ideal.
By the way, Cam Curl re-signed with the Rams. He was a guy that I would have liked to see the Chiefs go and get if Brian Cook left. Cam Curl re-signs with the Rams for 3 for $36, so $12 million per. I'm in the Brian Cook market at $10 to $12 million. I'm not in the Brian Cook market at 15 per year, which there were some estimates of like Brian Cook may get $15 million per year. I'm like, well, if Justin Reed's getting 3 for 30 and you didn't want to go that route, I would be pretty dead set against going 3 for 45 for Brian Cook. Will you go 3 for 36 for Brian Cook now that you know that was the going rate for Cam Curl and he and Cook were sort of on the same level of free agent, both 27? The question is, if you don't get it done before the legal tampering period, well, now you're negotiating with other teams. So the Rams got it done before they had to deal with other teams that may look at Cam Curl and say, hey, we'll give you $14-15 million. But now that that's set, maybe it does give the Chiefs more of a boilerplate of what to work off of, since those two were sort of right in line with each other in safety free agents that were out there, in Curl and Brian Cook, with like Byard in the mix as well, who's, by the way, 33 years old though. So I'm on board if they bring back Brian Cook for roughly the Cam Curl money. I just don't know that I would go anything more than that.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this, when you start looking at safety money, I mean, some of the guys who are making like in the 14 to 15, $16 million range, I mean, you do start to say, well, you know what, Brian Cook's probably belongs in that group. I mean, I look at Cameron Bynums and of the world, and
I mean, it's not
everything,
he's not going to be making, you know, Hamilton money.
No.
Who's in the 20s, but he also doesn't play like that guy.
Nobody does. No.
Yes, right. But
He's
you're talking about
one of one.
Javon Holland, Cameron Bynum, Kyle Duggar, Jesse Bates, Amani Hooker. Those are the $13 to $16 million players at safety in the NFL.
Yeah, and I mean, it's so he absolutely, if somebody pays him that money, I mean, I could see it, because he kind of belongs in that category. But concerns from the Chiefs standpoint, you know, knowing the player the way you do, okay, yes, I mean, the intangibles are all there. I mean, you love this guy, you love him on the back end, and I still say, I mean, go back and look at the Week 18 game and the playing time, and see who was out there at the end with all the young guys. It was Nick Bolton and Brian Cook with a bunch of, you know, nine other guys that you're just trying to see how they fit in for 2026. I mean, I think that was pretty telling as far as what they were asking, you know, from Brian Cook and Nick to do, is go out there and work with the young guys. Yes, he's absolutely a key leadership part of that backfield, and they would love to be able to have him for that continuity, especially with you losing McDuffie. Brian Cook's a vocal leader on that team. Yeah. But at the same time, he's going to be 27. He's got the injury history on the ankle. I mean, there's some of the same red flags that you had with L'Jarius Sneed and why you didn't sign him long term. So if the Chiefs don't get something done with Brian Cook, I'll understand it.
Yeah. Matt Derrick is hanging out with us, but did want to point out the Cam Curl contract there as well. You have another segment in you?
Of course.
Absolutely. Yes. That's what I'm talking about. That's stepping up. You know, Michael, do you have another segment in you?
I got 3 more.
I don't care what.
You only have 3 more segments left? We got 6 segments left. You only got 3 more left?
Drake's got to come in and produce.
Ah, damn it.
I don't care what your net ranking is. Rating is. I will be here, baby.
We got one more segment with Matt. We're going to make this a bye game. We're going to agree to his terms for one more segment. I do want to talk about DJ Moore to the Bills and the contract Brandon Beane agreed to with DJ Moore to guarantee almost $16 million of the final year of that particular contract, which was not guaranteed. To get into that conversation and the strategy that the Bills have taken over the years, that's been the opposite of what the Chiefs have done. We'll get into that next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Michael Darcia, and Matt Derrick. Chiefs Digest 41 is the Mike podcast. I want to talk about the Bills here in just a second, but real quick as it relates to Jalen Watson and us talking about the priority on bringing back whether it's Watson or Cook or Chanel, but certainly looking in that secondary of Watson and Brian Cook. Is there, since we know that Fulton is under contract, I don't think they're going to release him now that they have traded Trent McDuffie. And Noel Williams played pretty well, especially when he got more and more of an opportunity there late in the season. Is there a scenario where the Chiefs look at both of those players that play on the outside, which I thought when they signed Christian Fulton, okay, they're moving Trent McDuffie to the slot. Then they drafted Noel Williams, who's an outside corner. Okay, they're moving Trent McDuffie to the slot. And then they did not move Trent McDuffie to the slot, and they had 4 outside corners. And McDuffie, Fulton, Watson, and Noel Williams. So is there a scenario where they look at Jalen Watson and they say, we'd love to have you back. We're not going to be able to do that at that price. But what we may do is go down and grab Alontae Taylor from the Saints, who has split time between slot and outside corner and moved around, is going to be less than Jalen Watson, but can fill the role of the slot. Or the Miami Dolphins, Kihu, who was injured most of last year. That's a really good slot cornerback. Or go and grab maybe a cheaper Amick Robertson from the Lions, who got moved to the outside from slot and had a down year, but he's a much better slot corner, which would be cheaper to spend the money instead of on Jalen Watson, to spend the money more on slot corner that may be out there and have Noel and Christian Fulton on the outside. And then if Brian Cook walks, Shamari Connor and Jaden Hicks are your safeties that Connor doesn't have to worry about playing in the slot. I can see the Chiefs going that route of saying we're going to spend more money in different places and not $20 million for Jalen Watson. We're going to spend $5 million for Amick Robertson and 13 for Alontae Taylor. And now we've got, or add up to 20 to Jalen Watson. We got a couple of guys that one that can play outside inside and another that can play outside and inside, but is much better in the slot.
I mean, I'm going to give everybody the bad news here that I don't think that the Chiefs are trying to look for anybody to replace what they've got in the slot. I think they're really happy with the combination of Connor and Chris Roland Wallace, that they can kind of match up a little bit and rotate. And I think they liked what they saw from Noel Williams as kind of a rotational piece in there too, and backup guy. I mean, especially if you bring back Jalen Watson and you pair him with Christian Fulton on the outside. Noel Williams is your number 3 corner who can play all 3 spots. Mm-hmm. But you got still 3 safeties that you like. Of course, none of them are free safeties that will play on the back end, so that's a problem that they still have to solve somehow. But yeah, I mean, I don't see that the Chiefs have really any indication of going out and trying to get anybody to play in the slot, because I think they're happy with the guys they have. Yeah.
So we're opposing offenses. They're really happy with the guys they have. I mean, it's like a heat-seeking missile the second the offense comes up to the line of scrimmage. It's like 27. There he is. Cool, let's go after him. I'm fine with the more CRW in the slot. I'm okay with that because I think there's more upside potential for him in the slot than Connor just simply being picked on, like in an elementary, like the new kid in elementary school in the playground. It's like they just were looking to pick on him, and I don't know what Spags was wanting to accomplish with that, other than we see what teams are doing around the league with bigger safeties that are, or bigger slot corners that are also safeties, like Hamilton and Derwin James, etc. Let's try that with Shamari Connor. I appreciate Spagnuolo's vision of seeing where defenses were going. When the Ravens just said, we've been trying to figure out Kyle Hamilton. Oh, let's do this. And the Chargers said, we've been, playing Derwin James, and let's do this. Because now he's up near the box, and he can blitz, and he can play, corner, and then we can drop him in coverage if need be. boy, that seems like a great way to take advantage of all of his skills. There, let's do that. I appreciate Spags seeing the defenses going that route. I just think he saw that's where they're going. This is our best option. Let's make that work with Connor in that spot.
What I thought was interesting, I mean, looking at some of the stats, because one of the stats that was out there was that the Chiefs, I think it was that they played the second most cover 4 of any team in the league last year, and some of that's because of what they have there, that safety group and everything like that, because they like to play with a lot of safeties. If it's 3, if not 4 safeties at times, and that's kind of is their cover 4 look a little bit and everything, because they like to play a lot of zone in those situations, but then Spags also likes that split safety thing that they do, where they'll play man on one side and zone on the other.
Yeah.
They did it to the Giants and had great success with it in that game. I mean, they just absolutely befuddled Russell Wilson in that one. I mean, just ruined him. And so that they had some success with it. I mean, it's complicated, but they played it more than anybody else, and they had some success. They got the personnel for it. Now, I'm with you. There are every once in a while there are players that coaches just love, and you don't understand why. Mm-hmm. And I understand. I mean, I don't understand why Chiefs fans don't love Nick Bolton, but maybe it's a little bit of my Mizzou thing. But then again, I also have seen, heard enough from Steve Spagnuolo explaining what he likes about Nick Bolton that then I see it on the tape and on the film. And I'm like, okay, I get why he loves this guy now. Where, hey, here are some of his deficiencies, but then here are his strengths. I'll admit it. I mean, with Shamari Connor, I don't see the same guy that Spags talks about in the way that they use him, because it's almost as though Shamari Connor can do no wrong. And I see a good player. I just see a guy who I just don't know is as good as I'm told that he is.
It's like fans see the deficiencies in Nick Bolton's game in coverage. And I think Spags recognizes the deficiencies in Nick Bolton in coverage. It's just you're not taking the green dot off the field just because it's an obvious passing situation and switching that out quickly. Like, all right, get off the field, Nick, put somebody else in there, and now we're going with only one linebacker or 2 linebackers, and Bolton, you got to get out. We're sending Bossa out there. It's a lot of exchanging, because then you got to put somebody has to be on the sideline wearing the green dot to run in and play that spot, okay? It can't just be, all right, Drew, you stay there now. You're the, oh, wait, there's no green dot out there. So it's not as easy as, just simply changing one for one. I think Spags recognizes, for the most part, that there are some deficiencies in the coverage skills of Nick Bolton that fans also recognize. I just don't think Spags recognizes that in Connor, that the fans and opposing offenses see in his inability to cover wide receivers, and taking away or almost emphasizing a weakness for Connor and putting him in that spot, to where, am I mad at Connor for getting beat, or am I mad at Spags because he put Connor in that position that isn't something that he does well? It's not on Connor. Like, I'm not asking Xavier Worthy to go and get a yard on 4th and 1 out of the backfield. That doesn't seem like the right strategy. I'll give it to Kareem Hunt. I shouldn't be asking Shamari Connor to cover a slot receiver.
And there's something to be said probably for the fact that Spags trust Shamari Connor to do a lot of things. They ask him to do a lot of things. Mm-hmm. Is he 100% successful at all those things? We would probably say no. But there is probably something to be said for the fact that if they put anyone else into that role, they would handle even less well.
Interesting.
than Shamari Connor does.
Yeah.
He may handle that role just as well as anybody else on the team could. It's just that they ask him to do an awful lot.
Yeah. And maybe the plan was more Jaden Hicks and doing some things with him. And then, as we saw this year, that Spags was pretty disappointed in some of the development
converse.
there.
I see a guy that I really like, but the Chiefs just have had some issues with last year.
Yep. Does this increase the possibility of the Chiefs, of their first 3 picks in the draft in the top 40, that they go cornerback? That maybe they replenish that spot with a draft pick?
I think it does. I mean, the fact that you now have 3 of those spots, 3 picks, yes, I think it does. I mean, again, if you've got 3 picks in the top 40, you would like to be able to address premium positions. So pass rusher, offensive tackle, cornerback. Those are all premium positions that you'd hit in those spots. But let's face it, I mean, when you got now 9 picks, you got 2 first, 3 in the top 40, you have flexibility now that you didn't have before.
Yeah.
So moving up from 9, it's a possibility now. Wasn't a possibility before this trade.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's in the ballpark.
Yeah.
You know, you can move up from now any pick that you want to. I mean, even if you don't want to move from 9, you can move up from 29. You don't have to sit there. You can do a lot of different things now that you couldn't do before. So I think that also just increases the possibility that it's premium positions they address in those top 40 picks.
Yeah, the Chiefs go throughout the draft. They have 20 picks in between their first 2, 11 in between 2 and 3, 34 in between 3 and 4, 35 in between their 4th and 5th selection, 38 in between their 5th and 6th selection, 21 in between their 5th and or their 6th and 7th selection, 9 in between their 7th and 8th selection, and then 33 in between their 8th and 9th selection. I look at that because Sam McDowell pointed it out in the Kansas City Star and said the issue last year is that they had wide gaps in certain parts of the draft where you pick somebody and then you know you're going to be waiting for a while. You also don't have the draft capital to sort of move around. The difference here in how evenly spaced those picks are allows you to move around up and down 10 spots here or there because you don't what was the 30 35 36 was the largest gap between picks for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
They had a couple of spots last year, was like in the 60s or 70s where they didn't pick. And it was like, well, you can't really do much then. When you go from, Jalen Royals to Jeffrey Bassa, like there's a pretty decent gap. You went from Noel Williams to Jalen Royals to Jeffrey Bassa. Like you had one selection in 3 rounds for the Chiefs. Like it wasn't easy to navigate last year, where these selections allow you to fill the gap between 9 and 40 and to fill the gap between 147 and 177. And I think it was an interesting point by Sam about how you can play the board by having more picks, but with ease that you can play it because they're more evenly spaced than they've been in the past.
And it's now a very similar situation to what you had, ironically, in 2022 with Trent McDuffie and the ability to, if you've got the player that you want, and I guess, it was 22.
It was 22, yep, for sure.
You want to move up from 29 because now you've got a player with a first-round grade on you that slips past 20.
Yeah.
That's when Brett Veach gets interested.
Yep.
So there's a player that they've got a first-round grade on, whether it's an edge rusher. I mean, it's entirely possible maybe it's a non-premium position. I mean, I don't think a Caleb Downs is going to fall down that far. Possibility maybe there's a receiver that gets down there, maybe a linebacker. But, that's also probably a sweet spot for defensive tackle. It's a sweet spot for offensive tackle. I mean, if you wanted a right tackle to pair with Josh Simmons for the foreseeable future, I mean, there's a lot of ways you could go. And if you're 29 and now you have that draft capital, you could pop up to 21, 22, 23 if you need to, which you obviously, one, you didn't have that option before at all. And 2, if you did have a pick at 29, you didn't have the draft capital to move.
And I'm not saying that the pick next year should be, something that they immediately get rid of, because I do think the consensus is that next year's draft is going to be better as a whole than this year's draft is. In fact, some of the analysis I've seen from the trade is it's a nice haul for Trent McDuffie, like nationally. It's a nice haul for Trent McDuffie. Just, is this the draft that you would want these draft picks in for Trent McDuffie? Are you going to be able to maximize that value when there aren't as many sort of blue chip prospects, which means the depth isn't there? I think Nate Tice said there was a lot of green chip prospects that are starters, good players, but the Chiefs need those. They need starters. They need good players because defense, yes, force multipliers on defense matter. Chris Jones matters. You need guys like that make the people around him better. But you also need to eliminate any weak links in the defense that an opposition can just go and pick on. So you need starters out there that can play a representative spot in their position while having some force multipliers. Hopefully you get one at pick 9. you get somebody that can be with Chris Jones at pick 9? Or is Caleb Downs that it's like, well, now you've solved the slot and safety issue. You didn't pay for Brian Cook and you paid Jalen Watson. So now you've got Caleb Downs. That's going to be Kyle Hamilton and Derwin James. Shamari Connor now can just go back and play safety. Jaden Hicks, hopefully he improves. But the defense got better overall at a couple of spots because you drafted this guy. And because you have 29 and 40, well, you can still get wide receiver and edge or defensive tackle with that. And, oh, by the way, who knows when April comes around, maybe they've already paid for Boye Mafe or Adafe Owe or somebody like that, and you've already got that guy in place. And then at 29, they take Caleb Banks. And it's like, wow, you got Downs and Banks and you got Owe. Well, let's say Mafe because it's probably more likely. So you just drafted Downs and Banks and you got Mafe, and then you get Chris Brazil from Tennessee as a wide receiver. Okay, well, you're feeling a little bit better about what that defense looks like because of the money you've saved and also the picks that you have as well. So I wanted to get your thoughts on the DJ Moore trade for the Bills. There's two things to look at here with the DJ Moore trade. One, they gave up the equivalent of what was a third rounder because they traded a second, got back a fifth. So the equivalent of a third rounder. The Bills then guaranteed $15.5 million of the third year of what this contract is that wasn't guaranteed. So here's what the contract looks like if he plays it out. If they keep him for 1 year and cut him, it was a 1 year, $40 million contract. That's not going to happen. If they keep him for 2 years and cut him, it's a 2 year, $64.5 million contract. If they keep him for 3 years and cut him, it's 3 for $73.5. If they keep him for 4 years, it's $23 million, roughly around that per year. So,
which year 4 would be his age 32 season.
Yes. So at minimum, so at best, I would say over 3 years, you're paying him $25 million per year while giving up a third rounder for the right to pay a guy who, unfortunately, the last couple of years, unfortunately for him, and maybe, I don't know, the Bills, the last couple of years has seen his production fall off and his underlying numbers and metrics fall off, and they went and got Loveland and Odunze and Burden because they're trying to replenish that spot, which allowed them to then trade DJ Moore. What do you think of the move here that Josh Allen does get a wide receiver maybe that's as good as they've had since Stephon Diggs, but they aren't getting him for cheap? They're also paying, even if it's 3 years, $25 million per year.
And as good as on paper, because I'm just not sure that he's the DJ Moore that he was at age 24. I mean, the last 2 seasons he's looked more normal, and last year looked pretty darn ordinary. I mean, if the 2025 DJ Moore is what the Bills are getting, that is going to be an albatross around their neck. I mean, at that value, at that cost, especially when you consider, I mean, there's doubtful to me that he's going to be a 1,000-yard receiver at age 32. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, they're all in on this year.
Yes.
I mean, there's no doubt. I mean,
that's what I took away from this as well.
Buffalo feels this window slamming shut.
Yep.
And they are just shoving it all in this year.
And Joe Brady coached him in Carolina, right? So it's a little bit of, here's your connection. I liked him. This is what we did in Carolina with him. We could do same things here in Buffalo. So let's go get him. Well, this is the price we're going to have to pay. Well, let's do that because, hey, Brandon, I really like this guy. This guy's going to be a difference here. I'm now the head coach. This guy's going to be a difference for our offense, and we're going to unlock this from Josh Allen if we just put DJ Moore out there. And if it's Carolina Panthers DJ Moore, hell of a deal. Hell of a deal. But you're banking on him being a guy who he was 3 years ago. Or you know what, let's just even 2 years ago, not 25. So the guy he was in 2023.
When he was 25.
Yeah, that's you're banking on to pay him a guy who he was in 2023 with the Bears when he was awesome at like 3 yards per route run. Like he was really good.
Yeah.
But he just hasn't been that guy the last couple of years. And not only just not getting the targets, but also just some of the, again, underlying metrics, how open he's getting, separation, all of that stuff just isn't necessarily there for DJ Moore the way that it was after the 23 season.
No, I mean, and again, this just fits in with everything that the Bills have done since they let go of Sean McDermott. I mean, I don't get anything that's part of it. I mean, and hey, is Joe Brady's in all this? Was Joe Brady the guy that was excited about Keon Coleman? I don't know who was excited about Keon Coleman, but
it wasn't Brandon Bean.
It was not Brandon Bean.
Or
It
the
apparently
owner.
wasn't the owner.
No, they did not want Keon Coleman at all. It was the guy we just fired that wanted
Even
him.
though I think Sean McDermott didn't even pay attention to the offense most of the time.
Like, that's what's odd about it, right? I
mean,
McDermott was a defensive guy and Brady was like his offense, but Keon Coleman.
There is nothing about what the Bills are doing this offseason that makes any sense to me.
But it's a difference, like what they have done a couple of big off seasons where we look back in this off season and the off season that will most directly mirror as much as you can this off season. It was 2022. They trade Tyreek Hill, they get a bunch of draft picks, they save the draft the cap, and then they have to go and replenish, and it was like a quote unquote rebuild or a reset or retool, whatever you want to call it. This will closely mirror that in what the resources are. But that offseason, when the Chiefs traded Tyreek, it was the rest of the AFC that went crazy with the Bills overpaying for Von Miller, and you had the Chargers that went and overpaid for, and the Broncos overpaid for, again, insert name here. I can't remember either one of those names, but they went, the Chargers overpaid for the cornerback that they ended up cutting the next year and had to take that huge cap hit on him.
It was the Patriots.
Jackson, either way, they paid for him. The Broncos paid for the Dallas Cowboys defensive end. Was it Gregory? And
that worked out well.
The Raiders paid for the Chandler Jones.
Yep.
The Bills went and got Von Miller, while the Chiefs traded Tyreek Hill and tried to get more balanced and younger and cheaper. The Chiefs had the luxury of already having a Super Bowl in their pocket, but the other teams were saying, we're gearing up because the Chiefs are available.
It was J.C. Jackson.
J.C. Jackson.
I was going to say it was Jackson, somebody Jackson.
Yeah,
yes.
J.C. Jackson. They went and paid, and then a year later they cut him, and they had to take a massive cap hit. The Broncos then go and do what they do for Russell Wilson, right, and make this massive move all in order to try to catch the Chiefs. The Chiefs had a down year last year. They won 6 games. And they go to the offseason and trade Trent McDuffie for picks and to have more cap space. The Bills have a rough year in which they lose in the divisional round. I guess not rough year, that's a Bills year, to lose in the divisional round. But rough when you look at the rest of the AFC, and they go and say, all right, we're trading picks. We're going to overpay for DJ Moore. We're not going to let this happen again for Josh Allen on a team, by the way, Matt, that scored 29 points per game. Was DJ Moore the issue as to why they lost to the Broncos?
No.
I mean, there are some issues on that team. Again, that defense was built to stop the Chiefs. The Chiefs are not the offensive blueprint in the AFC anymore. So don't you need to rebuild that defense with picks and money? And instead, you just gave Josh Allen an extra weapon, and you're overpaying for it, and you're spending a third rounder for the right to do that.
The AFC, I mean, and you really, I mean, you can circle back even that 2022 season again. I mean, I think we've seen it over and over again. AFC teams they're continuing to try and move for one get. It seems like all the big teams every single year are trying to make it this year.
We're one guy away.
We're one guy away. This is the year that we're just going to push all in and catch the Chiefs and everything. And now, I mean, I don't even know how many AFC teams really are thinking that they don't have to worry about the Chiefs. I think they're still worried about the Chiefs.
Yeah.
I don't think any of them expects the Chiefs to be down again in 2026. I mean, I think that they believe that they're going to turn this thing around. They're going to fix it. And I think the Chiefs will probably fix a lot of things too. I mean, are they going to go 15-2? No. Do I think they're going to win the AFC West this year? Yeah, I think they probably will. I mean, especially if Mahomes is healthy and is back by week 1. Yeah, I think the Chiefs are probably going to come back to the top of the division again.
Yeah.
So I don't know that. I mean, once again, I don't know that it's as much about the AFC and like this move that Buffalo's made and looking at some of the other teams. I mean, I can't even. I don't understand what the Texans are doing either. But
I'm with you.
But
they rightfully got a D in a number of different grades for the David Montgomery trade.
That trade is questionable at best.
Yeah.
But and then I look at teams like the Patriots who just, I mean, they just basically just hit the transfer portal last year and rebuilt that team in 1 year.
Yeah. Right, and
they figured it out.
Spent money on defense, and they spent money on Milton Williams, which was worth it.
Exactly.
When he was on the field, I mean, they were a really, really good defense when he was out there.
And again, they signed a bunch of free agents. It wasn't like even with Milton, I mean, it wasn't like they went out and overspent on guys either. I mean, it was just they spent the appropriate money on the right guys.
Yeah, and the right positions,
and the
too,
right
it
positions.
seemed like, yeah.
I mean, and that's why this week with McDuffie deal, I've had a lot of Chiefs fans, kind of hit back and say, hey, Chiefs should have signed Trent McDuffie and not signed George Karlaftis. Well, you know what? I mean, George Karlaftis is kind of appropriately paid. I mean, it's a big contract, but that's what edge rushers make. And it's not like he's making $40 million this year like Daniel Hunter. He's not making that kind of money. He's not making $30 million plus. I mean, he's making 20-ish, and that's what a pass rusher of his caliber kind of makes. So I don't have a huge issue with that. And I mean, and once again, if Trent McDuffie wants 30 and you're paying a guy 20, well, that guy that's 20 did not prevent you from signing Trent McDuffie.
Yeah, Karlaftis' cap hit this year is 15.2. His cap hit in 27 is 15.3. His cap hit in 28 is $23 million, but you can save $15 million if you cut him at that point. So if you're saying realistically, as a defensive end like Karlaftis, who is a solid player in a premium position that's premiumly paid, 6.6 cap hit, 15.2 cap hit, 15.3 cap hit, $23 million cap hit, but you can save $15 million if you walk. I mean, that's pretty extreme value for a guy who going into last season was just 24 years old. So even if you cut him, he would still not have turned 27 if you play these 3 years on that contract as age 24, 25, and 26. And then move on, save $15 million against the cap, he still wouldn't have turned 27 years old in Karlaftis. I'm not sure the Karlaftis one is the one to look at. It would be more, if I was having a gripe and revisionist history or saying this would be the right strategy, it would be take the 24 you gave Trey, add 6 and give that to Trent McDuffie. That would be a better sort of complaint rather than you could have let Karlaftis walk and paid McDuffie. I think Karlaftis is really, really good value for what you're paying him, what he offers, with the potential of him outplaying that contract. If he simply plays like he did this year, the next 2 years, he'll kind of be around what you would have paid for that player anyway.
And if he gives you a 10-sack season, he's underpaid.
Yeah, he's outperforming that.
He's
particular
outperforming
deal.
the contract.
Yeah. It's the Trey Smith deal that it was like, but as you talked about last offseason, they talked to Trent McDuffie's people. They got an idea of what he was looking at, and maybe at that point they changed to Trey Smith. But they also paid Trey Smith $24 million per year, the top of the guard market. That may be where, if you look back and go, yeah, that was probably the mistake if you're looking at the overall team and the money you're going to spend. Would it be worth $6 million more annual average value? Funny money, devil's in the details for a Trent McDuffie rather than a guard. I would say yes. But now you have to add in Trey Smith and a first, third, fifth, and sixth, as opposed to Joe Thuney and Trent McDuffie. I mean, that's your choice.
And
there.
and again, I mean, you kind of
and me, no Williams, by the way, because you used the Joe Thuney, but you could have had somebody else. Who knows?
And to me, it's I think it's not great thinking to just look at it and say, okay, hey, wait a minute, you gave money to a guard that you could give to a corner.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it depends on more about how you build that offensive line as a unit. And the reality of it is, I mean, that's why you overpaid for Joe Thuney when you signed him, because you needed somebody like Joe Thuney to rebuild that offensive line. So you overpaid him, and honestly, he lived up to the contract.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the one guy that you could make the highest paid player at his position, and he still maybe exceeded the contract. With Trey Smith, I mean, one of the reasons why the Chiefs signed Trey Smith was to just solidify that interior of the line to the point where, hey, if you get a guy like Kingsley that's solid, doesn't have to be a Pro Bowler or an All-Pro or anything like that, but it's just a solid, above-average left guard, now all of a sudden you've got maybe the best interior offensive line in the league. And then, the plan, well, you are at that point when you signed Trey Smith, you had already drafted Josh Simmons, so you're feeling pretty good about what you've got there with Josh Simmons. If you add, and with pick 29, that adds to the possibility here. You add a right tackle now on a cheap rookie deal for 5 years.
Yeah.
I mean, now you have maybe
3 rookie contracts on your offensive line.
You've got 3 rookie contracts in your offensive line. You're actually probably an affordable offensive line, particularly compared to the value that you're getting for it. And now you do have, money to spend elsewhere. I mean, there have been times I'll have to look at it and see. I mean, because it won't be in this case this year, but the Chiefs in the last few years have had the most expensive offensive line in the league. Have they gotten the return for that? No. I don't think that they have lived up to the value of that offensive line. This year, I think they should exceed it because it's going to be more affordable. It's going to be a more affordable group, and we'll see if they're able to do that. But, again, that's why you get excited to think about this trade for a little bit, because you can imagine, hey, the Chiefs get what if like Reuben Bain falls to them at 9, and then they get like a Caden Proctor right tackle kind of guy, whether it's at 29 or moving up from 29. I mean, you could seriously, legitimately get an elite edge rusher and an elite type right tackle out of this draft.
Yeah.
And if you did that and hit those 2 premium positions, I mean, this would be like an A+ draft potentially.
And still have pick 40.
And still have pick 40.
Yeah, pick 40 and pick 74. We'll see. Before I ask you one final question, Matt, on the free agency, I do want to just point something out on the Karlaftis contract that I want to correct. So I talked about it, $15.3 million in 2027, and then it goes up to $23 million in 2028. But they could save $15 million if they cut him. 2028 salary becomes fully guaranteed on the third day of the league year in 27. So they would have to cut him before 2027 to not have him on the roster in 2028.
But still, you're
paying.
You're still talking under $20 million per.
And by the way, in 2028 is $23 million cap hit for a player that could be like George Karlaftis. What's that value in 2028 when we're talking about Mafe may make 18 or 19, Odafe Owe may make 22 or 23 million. Is Karlaftis, is he as good as those players? Maybe a little less. But in 28, what's the cap hit for some players that we're talking about now as opposed to $23 million? So just wanted to point that out, that they, with the contract and the 2028 salary fully guaranteeing in 2027, they're probably going to have him through his 27-year-old season, which is 4 more years at defensive end. We aren't going to take a timeout because Matt's leaving us after this segment. So I will ask you, Matt, before we let you go, a name or 2 that you think Monday through Wednesday the Chiefs will be connected to and they sign. Is there a name or 2 that you're predicting? I'm going to write it in ink and only hold you to it.
Well,
and it's your entire reputation on the line.
My entire reputation's on the line. Well,
yes.
You mentioned one, Boye Mafe, I think is definitely a possibility.
I'll write that down, Boye.
I don't know. I mean, the Pretty Ricky's got me wanting to say Kenneth Walker more than Travis Etienne.
I feel like Etienne would have been the one that I would have guessed. But now Pretty Ricky's saying the Chiefs are the leaders for Kenneth Walker, and his history and being right on a lot of things. But so Boye Mafe, is there another name that you think, okay, this is the one that I'd put my money on? Not that it's guaranteed, but I put my money on this player being signed by the Chiefs. Because I go with Mafe as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to come up. I mean, because I'll be honest. I mean, I feel like that's one of the few guys. There's probably a couple of other edge rushers we should be talking about. I mean, but I think that I feel like the Chiefs' number 1 priority Monday is going to be running back. I think that's the thing. That's what they want to hammer down first.
I'll write Etienne or Walker. If you want to go that route.
I'm trying to decide the coin flip here and see, do I go with Pretty Ricky or do I go with my gut?
I'll go. I mean, honestly, I'll write Etienne or Walker, and just that it's that market that they're in, not necessarily running back, because running back could be Gainwell, could be Rashad White. That's a different market to be shopping in.
I just
or
think
are they
it's going to be one
shopping
of
in the
those
top?
2 guys. I think it's going to be one of those 2 guys.
Yeah, because I think that category is in and of itself. Whether it's Etienne or Walker, it's the higher end of the free agent market that's available, the high end of the free agent market that's available, as opposed to combining an Algier and Gainwell.
Yeah,
or something like that.
And I could see. I mean, Brett Veach always surprises us, and they do have a little bit of room to play with. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a name or a position that we're really not thinking about. And corners possibility. I mean, I can't rule that out. But I feel like that, again, I think Brett Veach is probably going to want to look at that second wave of some guys that just kind of fall through the cracks on day one. And, and the way that this continues to evolve, I mean, honestly, the first wave is almost over by 1 o'clock Monday. I mean, it's like the window opens at noon, and then like an hour later, the window one's closed.
They tamper so fast legally. I mean, the legal tampering is just that. It's crazy how quickly they can tamper and come up with some sort of a structure of a deal while tampering.
You can legally tamper with me 365. Don't need a 48-hour window. I can be legally tampered 365 days a year.
I want the Chiefs to tamper with Walker or Etienne. I'd like to see them tamper with Mafe or Odafe Owe, and I'd like to see them tamper with John Franklin Myers or Sheldon Rankins. Or honestly, like if you go Owe, then I'd be perfectly fine if you went like Roy Lopez. Just an anchor, get out of the naughty Pennell world, and just go get this guy for 3 years, 27 years old, and clog up some space and be a guard center mover as a defensive tackle, free up your linebackers a little bit, and not have to deal with a defensive tackle that wears skates sometimes.
And honestly, I mean, if the Chiefs don't and they went like D tackle in the first round, wouldn't hate that either.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. Matt, we never hate you. There is a lot to talk about next Friday. Like, I thought we were going to be talking about what was going to happen next week more than anything, but then they trade McDuffie, and now there's going to be a whole lot more to talk about next Friday when they will be tampering everywhere for a couple of days and then free agent signings and everything. So there will be a couple of new Chiefs this time next week. We just don't know who they are. Maybe there'll be some new Chiefs that are also old Chiefs. That are just returning. We'll find out. They don't have to move their locker. We'll see. Matt, you're the man. Appreciate it, brother.
Appreciate you, man.
Matt Derrick, Chiefs Digest 41 is the Mike podcast. We take a time out. More Zone next. I trying to keep track of this Venezuela-Netherlands game.
You and everybody else.
In Venezuela and the Netherlands, mainly Venezuela.
Where is this game being played? As a part of the Houston pod, or is it?
Is being played.
Shohei had a grand slam while we were sleeping.
Yes, that's right. They'll be sleeping on Japan. That's
I bet
for
they're
sure.
not playing in the Netherlands.
No, it's not a home game for the Netherlands, although Luis Arraez just got brushed back, fell to the ground, and immediately got up and stared down the pitcher. All right, so don't be – look, he's got a whole season to play.
Okay.
All right, not just this tournament. But there are bases loaded, and now it's a bases-loaded walk.
Do I know anybody playing for the Netherlands?
I should look at that. Nobody for the Royals
No, there's nobody.
that I know of is playing for the Netherlands. But there were first and second, nobody out in the fifth inning, bottom of the fifth. Venezuela was up 2-1. Michael Garcia comes up, lays down a bunt for a hit. So then bases loaded, nobody out. Luis Arraez just drew a walk. So bases loaded, nobody out. 3-1. Venezuela is on top of the Netherlands. I think Andrew Jones
What
is
time
the
is
manager.
Team USA
Team USA
starts?
is tonight at 7 o'clock against Brazil.
Yes.
And
that's in Houston.
yes. So Venezuela with Salvi and Michael playing right now against the Netherlands. At 5 o'clock, Seth Lugo will be starting for Puerto Rico on FS1. 6 o'clock on FS2, the only player for the Dominican that the Royals have is Carlos Estevez. So you'd have to wait to the 8th or 9th inning for that one.
Yeah.
And then Team Italy doesn't start their pool play until tomorrow at noon.
That's the one I want to watch.
Yes.
Almost as much as Team USA.
Yeah, well, they play on Tuesday. Tuesday
Do
night,
we
Team
know
USA
where
and Italy.
those two will hit in the lineup? Will they be the meat of the order?
Yeah.
Will it be 3, 4, 4, 5, something like that?
Bobby's batting first for Team USA. Michael's batting second for Venezuela. And you need
3 and 4.
Vinny and Pasquantino to bat 3 and 4, and then batting fifth for Venezuela, Salvi. Done
say
and
something
done.
about the Royals lineup.
It's a good call. Yeah.
Should say something.
Yeah, Lugo starting tonight for Puerto Rico.
Of course.
So that's
I think
pretty
of
good.
Seth Lugo, I think of
Puerto
the
Ricans.
great island nation of Puerto Rico.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, it's like Lugo is one of the most common last names of all Puerto Ricans.
Puerto Lugo, yes.
Yeah. That's where you would pull into if you're going into one of the great
I feel
cities
like
of
if
Puerto
you took
Rico.
like a 5th grade field trip to a country, WBC would be like, okay, you can play for them.
Well, I have no ancestry from that country, and I've never been there. Here's a map. Do you know where it's at? Can you give me a region?
Just give me the continent.
Give me a region. It's
Okay,
right over
hemisphere. You got it. Hemisphere.
Is it right there? And then they grab your finger and they slide you over 3 countries. Right here? Yep, you got it right.
Nailed it. You can play for Nigeria.
I think that counts for dual citizenship. Welcome to the World Baseball Classic, son. Your last name is Caglione. You can play for Team Italy because Pasquantino is.
Well, I didn't know. Jaron Duran is playing for Mexico.
Well, that makes sense.
California kid.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm sure he's got some Mexican heritage.
He's probably gone across the border a couple times.
Cuban-born Randy Rosarena.
Rosarena is
Team
playing
Mexico.
for Mexico. Yes.
Okay.
Is playing for Mexico. Yes. What was that?
He was the player that I was referencing a couple days ago that the president of Mexico made him a citizen so he can play for them.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And they,
yeah, for sure. Like,
I mean,
it's just the transfer portal of World Baseball Classic countries. That's all it is.
I'd be mad if I was Cuba. We saw Cuba play JV Royals.
Yes, and lost.
And they could use some offense, apparently.
And maybe that's why Rosarena was like,
I'm going to go to Mexico.
Go to
Jaron
Mexico.
Duran and all these other guys that are
because
claimed
that team is expected to make it out of the group stage with the United States in that pool, and the other teams are not, like Cuba. So I'm going to go ahead and play for Team Mexico there. But yeah, it is interesting. Like Great Britain that the United States is playing against tomorrow with Jazz Chisholm.
Yes.
On the team.
Of course.
Yes.
The famous Brit.
Everybody knows that with Great Britain.
And jazz was invented.
Yes.
In London by the Welsh.
I always love like
1809.
Yeah, like when he and Michael were going back and forth, and then post game you'd walk up to Jazz to talk to him about it. He'd be like, "Hello, mate.
Hello, mate.
Hello, Governor.
That bloody Garcia.
Hey, bloody God. What it's what? Can't stand him." I don't know if I can say that or not. I'm going to go ahead and dump it just in case. I'm not sure. I know I could say some other things. I just didn't know if I could say that other. Like sometimes
there's some
you say
words-
some words that are
Yes.
totally fine on the air over here that they say that might be curse words,
And vice
or
versa.
there are things that they say a
Yes.
lot
Yes.
over there.
Like we say bloody, and they'd be
Yeah.
like, "Oh my gosh!"
What are you doing saying bloody?
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying like that. I got hit in the
And
face.
then they say the 4-letter word that you just said.
Oh my goodness! Well,
And
no, I
they
didn't say that.
can't.
Whoa! There's a 4-letter word that they say a lot over there that we don't typically say over here. That's not the word that I used.
What's the third letter of that 4-letter word you're talking about? Second letter?
It'd be something where if you're like, "Hey, next Thursday," they say that a lot.
You did a watered
That
down,
is not
watered down version of
that.
that.
Is not just for reference here, just to go on record here. That is not what because if you're listening on the radio, that's not the word I
say.
use.
See you in the major leagues.
No, that's not not the one. So there you go. Salvador Perez is up now, first and second. Nobody out. 5-1 Venezuela. He's batting fifth for the Venezuelan team. So you've got, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the different World Baseball Classic rosters with the Royals. Bobby, Michael,
Maybe Cags
Benny,
is
Cags.
5. I don't know.
You got to bat him.
Who else does Italy have that we know of?
Amerigo Vespucci, maybe.
Joe DiMaggio?
Yes, that's the one.
That makes
That's,
total sense.
That's the one. I should.
By the way, watching the Royals last night with all of their WBC guys gone, still scored a lot of runs.
Yeah.
Reagan's gave up a lot of runs. So did everybody else on the Royals pitching staff. But seeing Jonathan India,
Yeah.
why doesn't he get to play for India?
That's a
Team
great
India,
point.
right? Without hair, without the long, I did not recognize him.
Yeah, I know, right?
I was
the no
I'm
hair.
like, all right, which AAA guy is this? And they put up the lower third of Jonathan India. I'm like, wow, that made a difference.
Yeah.
Cutting off the locks.
So Salvi swung at a pitch on the outside part of the plate, rolled to short for a double play. So he's in midseason form, baby. Midseason form. I do love, I'm glad Salvi wasn't busting it down to first because I don't need you doing that in a 5-1 lead for Venezuela in pool play. Okay, but it is interesting at the level of nonchalant that the shortstop and second base used to turn two on Salvi and still get him by about 5 feet.
Even for the Netherlands.
It was like 6, scoop, little toss to second base catches it, routine over to first, and then they show the first base, and Salvi's about 15 feet away still.
I wonder if even other Venezuelan players are like, man, Salvi really swings at a lot of pitches. So, country, a culture known for free swingers, right? That
you don't walk your way off the island.
But even they're like, man, he could take a pitch.
Like the
he could take a
Dominican.
pitch every now and then.
The Dominican, you don't walk your
way off
can't
the
walk off the island.
Yeah.
So Team Italy, the catchers, Kyle Teal is on Team Italy with that typical Italian last name. Infielders are Sam Antonacci.
Yeah, there we go.
John Berti, Zach DeZenzo, Andrew Fisher, Renzo Martini, Miles Mastro Booney, Thomas Sagasi, Vinny
Mastrobuoni's
Pasquantino. Yeah. Let's see. Outfielders are Jack Caglione, Dominic Canzoni,
Okay,
Jacob Marcy, Nicup Morabito,
let's go.
Dante Nori.
Okay.
So there you go.
Everybody sounds. Who was the first one?
That was of the outfielders. It was Jack Caglione.
No. The first guy you mentioned.
Oh, the first guy I mentioned,
Keel or something like that?
catchers, was Kyle Teal for the White Sox.
Teal. Okay, need to add like an O to that.
Kyle Teely.
Tilo.
But in baseball, they probably call him
was
Teely.
the-
Wait, say Teely?
Who was the second baseman the Royals had probably 10 years ago? Big Italian last name.
Giovatello?
Oh, Johnny Giovatello.
Johnny G,
Why
baby.
Why is Johnny G not on this team?
He's got probably, 40 years old at this point?
I
That
don't
wasn't
care.
10 years ago. That was probably late teens.
No, it would have been 2013.
Altavia's.
It was before the runs. Okay.
I believe
the
so.
playoffs. Okay.
Altavia's on the team, the 2024, or was it last year? No, it's 2024 last year that broke Mookie Betts' hand, closing for the Royals. Altavia, or at least coming out of the bullpen. Dan Altavia, remember that against the Dodgers?
Dan. I remember him, yeah.
Threw inside on Mookie
Yeah.
and broke his wrist. Mookie was out for a good portion of that season because of Dan Altavia, and then he got DFA'd like a couple days later. Michael Lorenzen is on the Team Italy. Aaron Nola, because his last name ends in a vowel, so that's
Has to.
all it takes. So there you go. But I do want to know what that lineup's going to look like tomorrow. I would like it to be Vinny and Jack, 3-4.
Yeah.
So you can have
I
1,
can,
2,
and
3,
hearing
4,
those
5.
names, it could be that. I have more confidence in Vinny being heart of the order than Jack. But yeah, out of those names, I could see it.
Yeah, I think Vinny, you probably bat third on that one. Kyle Teal's a pretty good player. So he could be batting maybe second. You know, he gets on base pretty good. So there you go. Now that we've broken down Team Italy and got to the bottom of that. So we'll take a timeout. We'll come back and we'll get into Team Carousel and get to the bottom of what's going on with Chinese Taipei and Chinese Type B. So any of the types, we'll get into those. More Zone next. All right, wrapping this out. One more hour to go here on the week.
Where's
this Friday
Sterling?
edition. Sterling was not feeling so hot.
Oh man.
Yeah, he came in. He tried to give it a go. He was.
Didn't he have that thing last night?
Yeah, but he was not feeling well yesterday. His sinuses and everything. And so yesterday he's like, dude, I just want to give you a heads up. I may not be here tomorrow. Then he rallied for the event last night.
Of course he did.
And then I saw him this morning.
And he checked out. He tapped Bill Self.
And I was like, you look like you are cramping right now. I was like, you look like your sinuses are having a little cramping going on. But no, I could look at him. I'm like, oh, you don't look great. He's like, dude, my head is like, it's like in a vice. I'm like, then leave, dude. It's all good, man. I think I can handle the show. I think I could do it.
Maybe.
So then, like, after the first hour, he's like, I got to get out of here. I'm like, thank you, God. I've been wanting this.
Every time he leaves,
yeah.
thank you.
Mick Schaefer hanging out with us, presented by Advent Health Sports Park at Blue Hawk. Kansas State women find a way to get it done yet again today in the Big 12 tournament. They knock off the Oklahoma State Cowboys this morning.
Whoa, Cowgirls.
The Cowgirls.
They're
the
one of the
4
few,
seed.
Yes, they're
is
one of the
out.
few mascots, nicknames that you need to do that for.
Yeah.
You don't need to do it for Tigers, Lady Tigers.
That's a good point, yeah.
Because Tigers are men and women.
Yeah.
Well, they're
The
male
lady,
and female.
It's like the Lady Volunteers.
No,
you know,
no
at
need
some
to.
point, Yeah.
Like the Texas Tech Lady Raiders. No, you can have female Raiders.
Yes, you can.
You don't need to put the lady in
Women
front
can
of
volunteer
everything.
for stuff. In fact, I think a lot of volunteers typically do end up
In
being
fact,
women.
it's insulting just to be like, well, the Lady Bulldogs. Why? Bulldogs.
Yeah.
There's female bulldogs.
Right.
Why aren't you calling them
The male
the
Bulldogs.
gentleman bulldogs?
Yeah,
huh?
that's a good point. Yeah. So Kansas State knocking off Oklahoma State today.
the
They will
lady
play,
cowgirl.
Yep, and
females.
the Lady Cats. They will face off against the winner of BYU and TCU. That's going to tip off in about a half hour out at T-Mobile. The winner of that one is who the 12 seed Kansas State. 2 wins away from the tournament for Kansas State.
I want K-State to win it all. But if they don't, I want BYU to get to the championship game. You know why?
I don't. Because they have to play on Sunday.
They have to play it on Monday.
Oh,
The
they
championship
would.
game is set for
Sunday. So they would have to then move it to
To
play.
Monday.
Yes.
Yes.
And BYU's boy. That would be a crazy 9-4 tomorrow, if BYU knocks off TCU today. That would be that.
I thought Oklahoma State was the 4. Were they not? Were they?
No, 9-12. Sorry, 9-12.
Yeah.
Sorry. The 9 seed BYU versus the 12 seed Kansas State. Yeah, it would be that crazy.
been a lot of upsets this
9-12.
Arizona State took it to Iowa State yesterday.
Yep, that sucks. You want Iowa State to stay around.
You want Iowa State to stay around.
You want Iowa State to stay around. You want Iowa State to stay around next week too, for sure.
What stinks? So like. I was there when they presented the court on Monday.
Yeah.
And talked to everybody, and they did all the bells and whistles. I thought it's one of the coolest things I've seen.
Right.
It's really, really cool.
And everybody was really low key in their reactions to it too.
Here's the
and
deal,
opinions.
right?
That
yes.
was cool.
I think if you're there and you're close to it and you hear about it, you're like, this is awesome. The further you are away from it, it's easy to make fun of and mock, right? But the problem is on the broadcast, it's really not popping in that like they have this washed out last year's logo,
Oh my God, dude.
gray court that when you hit a 3, the 3-point line pops or whatever. But other than that, you're not seeing all the stuff it can do. So I don't think it's translating on the TV side. But yeah, Brett Yormark loves the Louis Vuitton court.
Dude,
Loves it.
they got and maybe it's all publicity is good publicity. I don't agree with that. But last year, just getting killed for the Louis Vuitton Big 12 court.
We got all excited. Like, out the video
awful.
court's coming.
You can make it
Same design.
any design you want. You can make it look like the Boston Garden with the heart. Oh, it would be awesome. What if we went back to the same awful design this year, and we don't even have to switch out a court? We can just keep it that way by choice.
To sign a 2-year deal or something like that.
Sign a 2-year deal with the
design people. So,
what if we just put the X11 all over the court?
here's my ask. Here's my want. I have two ways we can go with this. I think whoever has the lead, it should be their home court.
Wow.
On there.
Okay.
Right. So Arizona has the lead. KU hits a 3. Back to KU's home court.
That's
right?
fun.
Or you do it like college football, and on the right side is Arizona, left side's KU's court.
Yeah.
Even
And
if
then-
you have like the A, half of an A and half of a Jayhawk, whatever you want to do. But yeah, make it more fun. Other than like, I feel like people are gonna turn on the Big 12 tournament and feel like nothing's new. Yeah, it's kind of a gray court, whatever. We've seen those other places, so I feel like they're not doing their best to make it pop on the TV side.
Yeah, because you could even have, let's say it's KU Arizona. You could have the Jayhawk on one side and then the Wildcat on the other, depending on which way they're going with the basketball.
That's what I'm
so
saying,
the
yeah,
Jayhawk
on your
offensively,
side, yes.
boom, then flip it. The next
In the
half, you-
half, yes.
Now that you don't, the ref doesn't have to point which way everybody's going. It's like, guys, we're going. Oh wait, there's your logo down there. That's the basket you're shooting at this go around.
Yes.
I wish they could do that for youth basketball. That would be great. It would make it so much
Might help
easier.
them a little
They're
bit.
dribbling. Why is that? Oh, yep, that's right. My bad. It's over and back, isn't it? Yep. Guys, that's my bad. Sorry about that. But dude, anything you could do with the court, anything. And Brett Yormark was like, but can we make it last year's logo? Yeah. Heck yeah. Okay, I just want to make sure we can still do the most awful choice that we can make for the court design. Okay, great.
And yeah, every part of it, not just the design, but then, like I said, the color. It's this light gray, and with the glass over the LED screens, and with another piece of electronic equipment shooting it, it just looks so washed out on television. If you're there, I think you love it because they do so much stuff. Actually, when they're shooting free throws at one end, they will put the girl, whoever she's shooting free throws, they'll put her stats on the other half court of free throw shooting.
That's cool.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But you don't see that on the TV broadcast.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
Because they're just shooting that one side and the lane. So there's lots of things they're doing with it. And maybe, hey, it's like, yeah, buy tickets and come see it, come hang out. But I feel like there's more they could do to translate to everybody else watching at home.
You know what they should do, and maybe this is something they can advocate for in on the men's side, is when a bad call is made, on one side of the floor, you can list how many consecutive days that ref has worked college basketball.
That would be hilarious.
To see if, like, this is Doug Sermons with the call. Don't forget, this is his 9th game in 9 days in 9 different cities.
What's the max, by the way? Or do they even care? Can you go 30 days in a row?
February 15th through March 2nd, Doug Sermons got 1 day off. Worked
and
literally.
He ain't slowing down now.
Let's see: Cedar Falls, Ames, Tempe, Tucson, Arlington, Fort Worth, Lawrence, Waco, Boulder, West Lafayette, Indiana, Champaign, Evanston, College Park, Tucson.
Here's the deal, though: these guys get. I mean, I bet Sermons get close to $5 a game.
Yeah,
$5,000.
Yeah.
I think on average you make about $3. I bet. Yeah. Like let's round it up to $5. I mean, the amount of money he's making in just February there, a short month, is, well, a lot.
That's
make over $100,000 in 1 month.
$70,000 since February 15th he would made. Yeah. And look, I don't begrudge him, because if I got $5,000 a game, I'd work every single day too.
Yeah.
I
For
just
2
think,
hours. Now you're traveling a lot, and I'm sure there's a pregame routine and maybe a postgame meeting or whatever.
Yeah. And that schedule is Cedar Falls. The next day you're in Ames. Okay, well now you got to get on a plane and fly to Tempe from the 16th to the 17th. Well, now you're in Tempe and Tucson. Okay, from the 18th to 19th, you got to fly to Arlington and then go to Fort Worth. And
do the leagues pay for his travel, or are you an independent contractor there?
They're independent contractors, but maybe the independent contractor also
flights
then
and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, is it business expense write-off at the end? But it's a lot of money to be made there. And then also they have other jobs. Like remember Higgins, when the whole controversy happened with him and the UK fans, like he had a roofing company in Omaha, and then they just bombarded all the reviews and everything with this. Like he owned his own company and then was also getting paid, $150,000 for a college basketball season.
You could clear in 5 months at that schedule over $500,000.
Yeah, I should be a college basketball ref. Damn it.
They have there's a reffing shortage.
Yeah,
so you could jump in on it.
That's the thing. So can I start at the college men's basketball level though?
Doubt it. You got to go through some years of
I'm like
high school JV.
I'm Cousin Eddie. I'm holding out for a management position.
There you go, yeah.
So he's not a ref yet. Well, but he's holding out for an NBA job.
I don't want to do it because, right now, I'm a lot better at calling out what's right, what's wrong, than if I was, a college basketball ref.
Because then I wouldn't want to.
I'm feeling it's a lot harder than I'm making it.
I wouldn't want to do a game like in Allen Fieldhouse and then I make a bad call. I'm like, well, that guy's a Missouri fan anyway. I know that guy was from Missouri anyway. That's why I called the like. Well,
you got to clear your socials. Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about, man? Like, it doesn't matter. I'm trying to. You think I want to lose this job? No, I'm just working 9 games in 9 days, and that's why I'm maybe that's why I'm a little irritable. Yeah. Maybe that's why I'm a little more combative, as Bill Self said that particular
and you
crew
got to get in good shape, or maybe it just puts you in good shape all
that's
the running.
Probably what it is, yeah.
So these guys. The wardrobe, I feel like the fashion for officials in all sports, we can really. Does it really need to be stripes still? Do we really need to do that?
We got to know who's the ref and who are the players.
I want the Big 12 Louis Vuitton logo all over my shirt.
Yeah, and they have to run with a Louis Vuitton bag. The refs do the whole time, just making it more difficult. Because if there's one thing worse than college basketball refs, it's the women's college basketball refs, which might be the worst out of any. It's not an easy job. We always say that, though. But the women's college basketball officiating is maybe the worst of any sport anywhere.
I thought the opposite.
So bad.
I've thought the opposite because I used to call KU women's games.
Oh, dude, it's gotten.
I thought the opposite just because I mean, on the guys' side at major college basketball and NBA, everything's happening so fast.
Yeah. Well, the
right?
NBA refs are so good.
Are they though?
They miss some travels from time to time, but it's also like, well, actually, if you slow this down, that was a gather step that they're doing that.
Oh, God.
But the
That's every
speed
time.
in which it is and how often it's challenged and right, like
I always thought the
think they do a
women's
pretty good job.
game, the refs were better just because it isn't not every everybody's running 20 miles an hour at them at each other and all that stuff.
You would think,
it's
but
a
no.
little bit of a slower game, but
it's a rough product at times there. But I did think that was interesting. That it's like, well, Bill Self, this was a very combative crew. Well, I don't know if you're 9th day working in 9 days and you've been traveling.
100%.
Are you going to be a little
I'm
testy?
irritable every Thursday. That's my 5th day in a row.
I'm irritable Fridays at 12:30, and then in my little magic elixir of fun, Mick Schaefer comes in and we stir that little drink, and now I leave with a boost of endorphins. That's what I do. I wait for my irritability to get here.
And if I had a nickel for every time I've been called a magic elixir of fun, I'd have 5 cents.
Yeah, I'll flip that nickel over to you like a Werther's original, like right on there, a little hard candy for you. So yeah, that's fun. But yes, K-State women, they get the win today over Oklahoma
That's
State.
awesome.
They'll be playing tomorrow at 3:00 against the winner of BYU and TCU. So there you go. And then we'll find out. I think KU is going to be the 3 seed tomorrow. At worst, they're going to be the 4.
Yeah,
because they're not going to lose
be
to Kansas State.
K-State.
Yeah,
And then they
Not gonna
need
lose to them,
Tech to
they
lose.
need Tech to lose for them to be the 3.
Yeah. And they play
No,
BYU, right?
Yes.
No, they need
if Tech
BYU
loses
to win.
Yeah, if Tech loses and they win, then they're the 3 seed. Right. If they win and Tech wins, they're the 4 seed, and they'll
And that's
probably
senior
get
night
Iowa.
at BYU, right?
Yes, and it's a 9:30 Central Time tip for Texas Tech's team. If you're the 4 seed, you're probably going to get Iowa State Thursday at 11:30 in your first game out of the gate. The crowd would be amazing, but that's a tough one to start with. Not that anybody else in the bracket is going to be amazing.
K-State's
or
going to be
easy, but
15, so that means they play the 10, wherever that's going to be.
That's a good luck.
I've
getting
learned
try
they've got to
figure that
add
out,
to
man.
25. Now, the
really?
first round games, they add the 2 seeds add to 25.
Nice, dude.
Like
There
in
you
the
go.
tournament, they always add to 17, 116,
Yeah.
215, all that. Now these 16-team leagues.
Yeah. Looks
I-
like they're going to be 15th.
We did our podcast
So 15-10.
with Gurley yesterday. He's like,
How about that?
"Well,
Why
we'll be there, Tuesday for those 2 games Tuesday." I'm like, "Oh no, buddy. There's 4 games Tuesday. There's 4 games Tuesday." Like,
Yeah.
oh yeah. You got to get from 16 down to 12. To do that, you play 4 games
Because the math.
because math and stuff.
Yeah, math and everything. So KU can be the 3 or the 4. I think they'll end up being the 3 because I think Tech is going to lose to BYU tomorrow night, and KU is going to take care of business.
How many? I was talking with my son today. But I think there's 5 Big 12 teams that could win it all. Still, I still believe in
The
Texas
Big
Tech.
12 tournament or the NCAA tournament?
NCAA tournament.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah. I still believe in Texas Tech. They've looked just fine without JT Toppin.
Except for the loss at
Christian
home
Anderson.
to TCU a couple days ago.
Yeah, that was great. but
TCU's on the
bad.
bubble
They're-
trying to
they're
get that.
They're a
that was a
tournament
rough
team, I
one.
think. And maybe not. And maybe look after this tournament, maybe like KU's continuing to kind of arrow go down. Maybe it drops to 3, but there's a few bounces of the ball away from. Heck, the Big 12 could have had 3 number 1 seeds. When it was all said and
Yeah,
done.
so if they're the 3 seed, here's the difference of the 3 or the 4. So if Tech loses and they're the 3 seed, their first game will probably be TCU. If they're the 4 seed, their first game will probably be Iowa State.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
And what's the timing of those? What's the
so
3 seed plays win on
3 seed plays
Thursday?
last games, plays 8:30.
And then the 4 plays the
4 seed
first?
plays 11:30.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a massive difference. 4 and the 5 play 11:30.
So they want the 3.
I think they'd want the 3. Yeah. I think you want to avoid Iowa State, and unless you don't want to play that late. If you're Bill Self, like waiting around all day to
And
play.
who'd you say is
going to
be the 6?
The 6 seed
BYU?
will be TCU.
TCU.
So it'd be TCU
Man,
versus.
BYU's falling off a cliff.
Yeah, TCU would play the winner of 11 versus 14. So go ahead and do that math, whatever. But anyway, so it'd
Maybe
probably
there's
be
Oklahoma
TCU.
State in there.
Yeah. So it's like on Thursday, you want to play TCU at 8:30 or Iowa State at 11:30. That seems the difference of Tech winning or losing
You
on
want
Saturday night.
Kansas City wants you to play TCU, right?
Yeah.
You want to keep KU and Iowa State in this tournament as long as possible.
Maybe then they can meet later on.
Saturday.
go have some fun later on. That would be great. Let's take a time out. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. I do want to talk about what's at stake for the Missouri Tigers and the Kansas Jayhawks. And I don't know. I like Tariq Skubal, so maybe we'll complain a little bit about that. We also looked at the reporting that was done with Miami of Ohio in this conversation about whether or not they should be in the tournament if they lose a game in their conference tournament. We're going to do that a little bit as well. More Zone next. All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. I need to check on the Venezuela score. So
it was 6-2 last I saw on the bottom
6-2
line. Up 6-2 Venezuela.
6-2. I'm being a jerk.
6-2.
I'm being a jerk. Sorry about that.
Venezuela still leading the Netherlands.
I see. Yep.
Holland.
Bottom 7.
Amsterdam, the Dutch.
Yes. The Dutch. Bottom 7, 6-2 Venezuela over the Netherlands. Team USA in action tonight against Brazil at 7 o'clock. And then they'll be in action tomorrow against Great Britain. I talked about this a little bit in the first hour. I don't know if I'm like... A part of this does bother me because I do like the World Baseball Classic, and you've got the guys that are representing Team USA. I think it's pretty awesome to see Bobby Witt leading off and wearing the USA jersey. That's pretty cool. Tariq Skubal will start tomorrow for Team USA against Great Britain, and he will pitch 55 pitches max, and then he will be taken out of the game, and he will return to the Detroit Tigers camp to never be seen again in a World Baseball Classic uniform. And I guess, like, again, I like Skubal. He seems like a fun dude on the mound, that he sort of goes back and forth with hitters in a fun way, like he doesn't take himself too seriously. But wouldn't you allow somebody else to take that spot? It's like, I'm going to pitch once, also against Great Britain, maybe your least competition in the whole thing.
2 questions on that. I'm sure other starting pitchers have similar pitch counts, do they not?
See, I don't know about pitch counts, or like Skeens is going to pitch on
surely not
Monday,
like 6 innings, will he?
against Mexico, but he's not going to leave the team though.
Right. And then my next question is, how many other starts would he get?
So I would here's
I'm guessing one more, right?
So what I would look at it is, and maybe this is he wanted to get back immediately, because if I was looking at it and saying, okay, Skubal, we've got you for one start. Well, do we need you against Great Britain, or let's start you against Mexico, which is the toughest one in the pool play, which is what Skeen's starting, or the semifinals is more than likely going to be against Puerto Rico. The championship is going to be against Japan, the Dominican, or Venezuela if you make it there. I'd rather, if Skubal has to pitch one game, save it for the semis against Puerto Rico, or maybe even the quarterfinal.
Maybe he wanted to get back early.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Maybe that was the deal.
I just want to get back early.
I'm shocked that all these guys are allowed to be away from their teams for 2 weeks in the middle of spring training, and maybe it's just because, and honestly, I was about to say maybe it's because they're Aaron Judges and Bryce Harper's and Bobby Witt's. You don't need to see him, at 2 o'clock against the Rangers for a couple at bats. You know what you're going to get. But there's middle of the road players. Yeah. There's bottom of the roster guys. There's minor league guys that are leaving as well.
There's 4 minor leaguers for the Royals that are on different teams.
To other countries. I think there's 13 total or something like that for the Royals. So they're all types of players. I'm shocked to begin with that this thing is so well attended in the middle of a big part of the preseason for these Major League Baseball teams. So I guess maybe my surprise is that there's not more guys like Skubal. I didn't know the deal. I thought that, okay, maybe these guys, Skeens will pitch and then go back and work out with the Pirates for a couple days.
I mean, maybe he will, since I don't know when the bracket play starts or anything, and they wouldn't use him the next game. They may save Skeens for the championship game.
Didn't they play him in Arizona last time? Did they play the regular games?
Yeah, was that
in
where
Arizona?
Ohtani versus Trout?
I thought
took
it
place.
was, which would make it a lot easier, right? If you played in Florida or Arizona. I guess they're playing kind of halfway in between in Houston now for this pool, at least the Team USA pool. I don't know if I'm too upset about it, guys. I was looking. I mean, each starting pitcher is probably going to pitch once in the pool play, right? And then you go to quarterfinals.
So then you got 3 games: quarterfinals, semis, and
championship. So maybe one more start.
Yeah, or maybe comes
if
out
you're
of
Skubal.
Yeah. So
but you can hate him by yourself. I don't know.
It's not that I like him. Was there somebody that really wanted to be a part of Team USA as a starter And it's Scuball was like, nah, I got
I'm sure
that
there
spot.
was.
I got
But
that spot.
Then maybe they looked at it like, okay, would we rather have half of Scuball or all of this dude?
Yeah, 55 pitches of Scuball or every single pitch we can get out of that
Peterson.
guy.
Do we want 40% of Darren Peterson for the year or 0?
Well, Scuball is going to look over the manager and take himself out. He will. Like I got 55 on the arm.
55 up there.
If I see the pitch count, I'm good. I got a division to go and win, which maybe that's the part of it too. No,
It's a contract year too for him,
pitch
right?
Scuball a lot.
Contract year.
Just a lot of innings for Tariq Scuball. Just throw him out there. I would say pitch him back-to-back days. That's just me. That's what I would do if I was Team USA. How badly do you want to win this if you're Team USA? I think it's also interesting from the 2 years from now Olympics in LA and the CBA that's going to be negotiated with the lockout that'll happen next year, depending on how long the lockout takes place. But I think part of the CBA will be negotiated in there for the Olympics in 2028. And Rob Manfred said that they are making progress towards maybe a resolution that would allow Major League players to play for their countries, to play for Team USA, because it would be an extended All-Star break, that they would make the All-Star break around the Olympics and have an extended All-Star break,
man.
So everybody's got more days off, and these guys can go and play in the Olympics for Team USA, which would be awesome.
That'd
Be
be
pretty cool.
Get a few more double headers.
Yeah.
Take a week break or whatever you need to. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, which would be cool. And I looked it up and I was trying to find it, but I tweeted it out. And I said, I'm pretty sure that if they allow major leaguers and not just college kids to play for Team USA, and Bobby is on the team, which I would imagine he would be on Team USA in 2028, I think it'd be the first ever, at least in baseball, father-son duo to play for Team USA since Bobby Witt, his dad, played in '84 for Team USA as a college kid. So it might be like the Bobby Witt, junior, senior, both playing for Team USA in the Olympics, which would be pretty awesome.
Griffey's never.
No, I was looking through there, the bonds and things like that.
Because baseball, how long did we go without baseball in the Olympics?
Yeah, a long time, and then brought it back and then gone. And even when they brought it back, it was the guys who weren't major league players. Like you had Todd Frazier was on the team, but that was Todd Frazier being done playing baseball. Was on Team USA. Bubba Starling was on that team that won silver.
Right, yes.
They got the silver medal. So you had some minor leaguers that were allowed to go, but not the major leaguers. They weren't stopping that in that particular time to go and play. But it certainly sounds like Rob Manfred is in favor of allowing that to happen, which that'd be awesome, man. The hockey players get to go play for their countries, and now let's get back to playing. And, the NBA players, different time and all that stuff, but get to go and play.
If MLS can do that baby season, they're going to do it
I
at
mean,
the beginning
right?
of 2027 to get the calendar set up for the European schedule that they're going to adopt, which I still don't like. Then yes,
I like it.
Major League Baseball should be able to find a way.
But I like calling it the baby season, though.
It's baby season.
I like that too. All right, what do we look at for tomorrow for Mizzou and Arkansas, Kansas and Kansas State? What's to gain? What's the advantage for Mizzou?
State's over. It's over.
Yeah.
They haven't lost.
Pass fail for that, right? For KU?
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to win by one. But I mean, they haven't lost one of those in 40 years, roughly. Is
And
that
also
right?
a senior night, and also losing to K-State at home. It would
I mean,
break
last
both
year
of those
they beat.
streaks.
Last year they were nowhere near as good as Arizona, right? And they beat Arizona in this
Yeah.
in this game, right?
So it'd be two streaks that would snap: K-State winning
and-
in Lawrence and Senior Day.
Yes, and K-State, although a good held on somehow for a win the other night.
Yeah.
And that one's over. Mizzou, I think it's twofold, right? You're obviously wanting to get that double bye in the tournament and the SEC tournament, but then also get another pelt, right? Get another team with a number by its name, which has been kind of your thing this year, to beat those top-tier SEC teams, and another big building block in your NCAA tournament resume that, hey, you do that, maybe you get a win in the SEC tournament, and you're looking at a 7 seed, maybe. Something like that.
Whatever it takes to avoid Iowa in the first round.
That
is
OU
what I would
game
like.
did not help whatsoever.
No.
But I think there's still time to reset and make a run out of that 8-9 range. I don't know. Maybe they're on the 10 line right now. I don't know. And maybe you'd rather stay there if you're a Mizzou fan than get up to 8.
10 to 7.
Yes.
Those are your, 10 or 7. Those are your choices. Do whatever you can to be a 10 seed or a 7 seed if you're Mizzou. Stay away from the 8-9.
Yeah, but I think there's. I think the 2 seeds this year are so strong too. There's going to be a couple of them that are just
basically kind of could be 1 seeds. There's going to be like a 4-team race for that fourth number 1 seed.
11 or 6. 11 or 6.
That's what you want to do. Maybe slip back to 11 there.
Just fall back to 11,
Yeah.
but don't go to Dayton.
But I mean,
just be smart about the whole
I feel
thing.
like it's a repeat of a lot of weeks this season for Mizzou. It's like, okay, you have a chance to erase that whatever that egg was you laid the other night against a good team, a ranked SEC team, and they've got that chance again.
Last Saturday when they won, and we talked about on Monday and said, okay, let's go around. Did they punch their ticket to the tournament with 3 games remaining? And I said yes, that even if they were to lose their last 3 games, they would be sweating more on Selection Sunday. But I think they've done enough to be in the tournament. They've got 5 quad 1 wins, which is some of the other bubble teams around them. And also, if you were to lose those final 3 games, you would also be asking all of the teams that are behind you currently on the bubble to then win enough to surpass you, not just to get to equal, but then to surpass you. That's asking a lot. But tomorrow would take all doubt out of it. Like, you would not have to sweat on Sunday if you're in the tournament. It would just be a matter of now you head to Nashville to see what you can do with your seeding. Yeah. Where are you at in the tournament? You're definitely in after the win against Arkansas, because that would give you your 6th quad 1 win. And then it's a matter of, can you get to a 7? Or can you make a run as a double bye and win a couple of games? And now all of a sudden you're playing in a championship and somehow you've got that. And like, okay, well, are you now a 6 seed? Or you lose early and you're a 10, but you're not sweating a couple of days later on Sunday to see, oh, God, we didn't make it obvious for them to put us in because of how we played after that Mississippi State game where we struggled and no-showed Oklahoma and then lost to Arkansas. And then, throw in a loss down in Nashville, which would be those 3 straight losses after Mississippi State. And now we're sweating. We think we're in, but damn it, we should have taken care of business. And I think that's what's on the line tomorrow, is just taking care of business.
Agreed. In the unlike the KU scenario where you pretty much know who they're going to play if they're a 3 or a 4 seed, I don't know what you'd want from Mizzou. There's probably 7 options for both on who you'd play, of either the 5 or the 6, or who would be in that position of who you would play, because it's such a bottleneck there between 3 and like 9 in the SEC.
Yeah, I'd have to ask Curtis, because he had the tweet the other night.
3 through 10 is still in play for Mizzou, right?
It was the other night before the Texas game.
Yeah, the Texas-Arkansas game.
So,
I don't 3
know.
might not be in play, right? Because Arkansas won that game.
Yeah, so Curtis needs to. I mean, why is Curtis not?
It might just be 4 for Mizzou.
Like, get it
He's
together,
right there.
Curtis.
I can see him.
Yeah, but I know, but I want him to come over and just put it on the window. Just write it on the window here, and
I'll watch from the corner.
Washable. It's like it's at the whiteboard. Yes. Yes, you do.
I'll watch from the corner.
Yes, you can do that. For KU though, I think it's. I know that. By the way, just came across the timeline that Kevin Harlan's
His dad passed away yesterday.
Okay,
I heard the news yesterday. I'm not sure the day.
Okay, I did not see that. I just saw it on the bottom line here at the NFL Network. It said Bob Harlan has passed away. I'm like, oh, God.
Front office for the Packers forever.
Yeah. Dang.
And then, Harlan's feels like a local guy, but he decided to come to KU to go, to be the best broadcaster to ever come through. Him and Nate Bukaty. They're very close.
Roughly the same. I think so.
I went to school with Nate there. I didn't go with Harlan there, but I think he graduated and became voice of the Jayhawks. So that was a good move.
Yeah. If you're into that sort of thing.
Yeah, and so, but then set up shop here.
And now he
family.
is a local.
He is a local.
Absolutely a local legend in Kevin Harlan. So that's too bad. Thoughts go out to the Harlan family. I didn't know that happened yesterday. I just came across the timeline as I was talking in the headlines for NFL Network. But we were discussing this in the first hour, Mick, and I know that they have not played well since the Oklahoma State game, or since the Arizona game when Darren Peterson didn't play. And then, checking out of the Oklahoma State game after playing the way that he did in the first half and hitting the 3 and then checking out. He's played 30 minutes per game since then.
Yeah, you're crossing your fingers.
And they've lost some of these games, but almost to a degree, I watch them play against Arizona, and then the second half against Arizona State when they went on a run, and I'm watching them going, are they actually figuring it out? Because it looks like to me that they're getting more comfortable with the guys out there with Darren Peterson. It's not resulting in consistent play to where they're winning some of these games, but it's also not looking like, okay, Peterson has the ball, everybody go away. Okay, I've got the ball, how do I look to create to get it to Darren? It looks like, okay, Melvin's attacking and Darren's on the floor. Okay, Darren got inside the defense and kicked it out to Trey White. Flory's trying to play a more dominant game when it's not just a 1-2 game with he and Melvin Council. That when Darren's on the court, Flory can also do some of his things. Bryson needs to figure it out. That's for sure. He needs to get more engaged and be a better consistent player.
Yeah.
But even in the losses, I feel like, and maybe that's where the irony comes in this whole thing. Even in the losses, it looks like they're figuring out more and more to play together. It's just not resulting in consistent play and wins.
But yeah, no. The look, I think Peterson has responded twice here. He's responded since that Oklahoma State game when he became a national story. Then when Dick Vitale's calling you out, right? Before it was kind of locally, we're whispering around. The college basketball writers, Jeff Goodman would talk about those type of guys. But it became a lead Scott Van Pelt Sports Center type deal.
Stephen A. yelling about it on first
100%
Last Take or whatever.
I feel like he's responded since then and is playing 30-plus minutes a game. And then I feel like he responded last game to Self kind of calling him out about being a little bit of a ball hog. But yeah, I still don't. I mean, what are they, 2-4 since
2-4 since that Arizona game.
And they didn't look great against the Oklahoma State win. Who was the other? Would that have been the win? The other. Gosh.
They beat Houston.
That was the Houston game.
In that stretch?
Yep, at Allen Fieldhouse.
Okay.
On that Monday.
Good win, obviously.
Yeah.
Good win there. But then you lose to Cincinnati. You lose to Arizona State, two gettable games. I mean, you win those two games, like you might be looking like 2 seed at this point if you're KU, and they don't get it. I don't see. I see still two different teams. I see a muted Flory and Melvin out there when Peterson's on the court, and I see energy from those two when he's not. I think Peterson settles for 3-pointers a little bit too often. I think he's a great 3-point shooter, but I mean, when he decides to get to the bucket, just nobody's stopping it. I mean, we did see it against Arizona State. You have the help guy flying at you, and he'll leave it for Flory for a dunk, right? So I think there's a lot more good that can happen if you put the ball on the floor and got to the rim. And so it's exciting because you're seeing him for long stretches of time now, and you can make opinions on like, okay, yeah, you missed 2 or 3s in a row, maybe don't stop settling for that. Put the ball on the floor, figure out something else. And so I don't think he's a black hole, a ball hog, or anything like that. Maybe that one game he was, but I do think there are two different teams still with KU. And we talked early in the season, like, okay, they've got to learn how to play without him. Now they got to learn how to play with him.
Yeah, the Arizona swing for Darren Peterson, 11 of 39 overall from the floor and 5 of 19 from behind.
And not
the
a
arc.
whole lot of assists or rebounds with that too, right?
Well, and he had open shots, and I think that's where I had a theory. I threw it out yesterday that on Wednesday night, the Hawk Talk with Bill Self and Brian Haney on Wednesday night, that a couple of weeks ago, Greg Gurley had said on A New Day, they were talking about like Greg had asked Bill Self something about a team they were playing on Monday, mentioning it while they still had a game on Saturday, and then Bill Self was just like, "What? Greg? No, don't ask me." Like, and Greg was joking about it with New Day. He's like, "I had just talked to Bill about that before we started recording," and so then I bring it up, and he does that, and I'm like, "What the heck? We just had this conversation." So I say that because Wednesday they come back from break, and it's segment number 2 with Brian Haney and Bill Self. And Brian says, Bill, Darren Peterson with the, should have been the freedom of movement foul, and talks about how he's been officiated differently than maybe a star should be. And Bill goes, I don't want to talk about that. Like, I don't even care about those things, Brian. Not even bring it up, because it doesn't matter if you're holding him. He's got open shots, and he misses it. And if you're going to miss an open shot, it doesn't matter what you're doing before then. And I'm thinking in my mind, I wonder if before that, Bill Self was like, Brian, let's get into the freedom of movement thing with Darren and him,
Yes.
being
So he can be
officiated
out there.
differently, so he can go, hey, Brian said that about how he's officiated differently. My answer was, hey, Darren, suck it up and make the shot.
Yeah.
All right. He's saying he's being officiated differently. I'm telling Darren, I don't care. You had an open shot. Make it or figure out something else to do. I'm not going to sit here and make excuses for you when you go, 11 of 39 from the floor. That's not freedom of movement. Going 11 of 39, you're missing open shots. So thank you, Brian. And I'm going to act like I'm really annoyed at you asking that question.
And I like it too. And we never know. I'm sure he's a hard ass on him plenty behind closed doors. But it feels like the gloves are off a little bit with Peterson and how Self's treating him here down the stretch. We talked about shooting too much and the Oklahoma State games. Like I thought we were past that.
We're past that.
So it feels like maybe he's hit his limit at least publicly with this whole deal.
Doesn't matter if you have an open shot if you don't make it. What's the point? I mean, a 4-shot open shot, you miss them. So that's why you got to make the shots that are there. And I thought it was interesting because he was just like dismissing anything. And I'm like, wait, Bill Self did just talk about the other night after the game when he got kicked out that he felt like Darren was being officiated a little bit differently. Brian brings it up, and Bill Self's like, "What are you talking about? Why would you say that, Brian? This is absurd. This man should be fired. Like I am offended you would even say this. My God." And it just reminded me of that Greg Gurley conversation when Greg was like, "I just talked to you about this. We had this conversation. I thought you wanted me to go there."
Yeah.
But I think that's the part of like, hey, get to the rim, where Bill Self is saying, okay, maybe you are being officiated differently. Okay, and you're settling for jump shots. So you missed open jumpers. I don't know, we'll make a layup.
Yeah.
We'll get into the lane and drive an attack, get to the free throw line because you've only missed one free throw the last 2 games. You're missing threes, not missing free throws. How about get there, kick it out when you get inside the defense? How about create for others?
Take Melvin's game and put it into Peterson's game, right? Just attack, and how good of a finisher he is. Along those Peterson lines, the AP All-American teams are due next week, and I kind of did a rough draft last night. You got to do first, second, and third team, 15 guys.
Oh, wow.
Would you put Peterson on any of the teams?
I mean, it'd be hard to do that.
He's played 19 games.
He's played 19 games.
Played 19 games.
And he hasn't, and some of those games he's playing some, he's not playing.
I mean,
but there's a couple of moments where it's like, okay, the Texas Tech back-to-back threes, that was huge. The 3 free throws against TCU, that was huge. But even
both those games, those were just moments. He didn't have great games in
right.
either one of those games.
Yeah, the great game he had was NC
game,
State.
And the BYU game, then he tapped out of that one.
But NC State, he played, 30 minutes and had 32 points.
I don't have him right now. I dropped. I think if JT Toppin would have stayed healthy, I would have had him first team. I dropped him out second team just because he's played 25 games.
You got Boozer third team, right?
I have the shorter Boozer on the third team.
Okay, look, that's what I was going to joke.
Honorable mention, tall Boozer.
Really, you went as the smaller Boozer? You had first team. Interesting.
No, I'm joking. I think Boozer and DeBonsa are the clear cut 2 first teamers, and then there's some other guys that deserve looking at. So, but that's been fun. I was like, I don't think I put him in there.
Yeah. KU wins tomorrow, Michael.
KU's already won.
Yeah.
The game's over.
I feel like I'm actually feeling like K-State's going to win that one.
I'm
just joking. I've watched basketball.
What's the line?
KU's going to
take all your money in DraftKings and just put it on the money line for KU.
I don't know that
you'll make some money.
You'll make some.
Yes.
I don't know you get value out of it, but you'll probably make some.
What's the line in that game?
Let me find out here.
10.5, 11.
Sometimes they don't do the next day unless it's a big game
till the day
for that Saturday. So let's see. They have a number of Saturday games already listed, which is good. KU 16.5.
Over.
You mean cover? Have KU cover?
KU minus the points.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Missouri is getting 3.5 at home. I'll take that. I'll take the money line with Mizzou. They're getting 3.5 at home. They're 3.5 point dogs.
Definitely take the points.
Yeah, they're 3.5 point dogs at home. I think they win that game. We spent the last week or so talking about, these senior games are so tough to go to Arizona, get a win like that.
Yeah.
BYU is going to have their senior night. We see some of these other teams pulling off upsets when they're senior night, and then it's Missouri senior night. Arkansas is a tough matchup, and it's like, they play differently. Like, Missouri's a different team at home. They're so good at home, and it's an 11 a.m. game, and Arkansas just played a pretty darn impressive game the other night, and now they're heading to Missouri, a team they already beat, for an 11 a.m. tip on senior day. I'm not sure how it's a 3.5 point.
Who are the seniors? Mitchell, Cruz?
Stone. I
Cruz
think
one?
Cruz is a senior. It's
it's
hard
a moving
now.
target these days. It's a moving target.
Well, he's a senior, but then he also might get a
year left.
Yeah, just sue somebody. Find the right judge, and he'll have 2 senior nights. That'd be cool. But Mark Mitchell definitely. Sean Phillips, I think, is
he?
out of eligibility. I don't know. Jacob Cruz is a senior. Jaden Stone's a senior. So those four.
Okay.
Phillips, Mitchell, Cruz, Stone.
Okay.
KU's got 6.
Yeah.
Bill
4
Self,
of
who do you
them
start?
haven't heard of.
Who do you start, though? Huh? Bill Self told the story of when Roy Williams started 6 guys and took the technical to start the game.
Did you really?
Started
What year was
6,
that?
I don't remember, but he said he started 6 guys, and then he said, but we don't have
Who did
Rafe.
it? Roy did it?
Roy, he said, we don't have Rafe and Paul and those players to make up for the technical. We're not going to do that. I'll figure out who the 5 are. And he goes, you know what? It might be up to them to decide who's going to be the 5 starters on senior day. That would suck, though, if you're senior night and you're one of 6
To be
guys.
the 6th
and you're
guy.
the 6th man. It's like, crap. Am I going to get in the game?
Who's the White's a senior council yet or no?
Yeah, yep, council. Trey
Did
White.
one of those guys forfeit their starting spot
that's an interesting
for
point.
one of the bench guys?
If one of the bench guys that's been around for a while and put in the time to be there, I think Darren Peterson makes 7 seniors on this team. So
Eligibility-wise, though, he's played so little. He's still a junior in high school.
that's a good point. Yeah, Dawson would be a senior.
There's a lot of guys on the KU bench.
Yeah, right.
Frankly,
There's three others you haven't heard of.
But either way, there's 6 guys that would be celebrating their senior night on
Did you?
Saturday afternoon.
Okay, there's more to this, so I'll save the rest for Learn Funny is Best.
Yeah.
Of the Power 5 conferences in basketball, right? The 4 and then the Big
Yeah.
East, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is roughly 80-some teams.
I saw
Okay,
this.
did you
Yeah.
see? Michael can guess
the numbers.
How many seniors are there that spent their entire time at one school out of 80-some schools on senior night this
Power
year?
5 schools.
Power 5 schools. How many guys spent their entire time at one school?
how many kids do I have to pick from?
So any senior out of all Power 5 schools that are celebrating their senior
say
night.
there's 3 or 4 per team.
Yeah.
200 and some or whatever.
Yeah, but
The bench guys, the walk-ons, that's a safer bet.
These are I need to amend this. Scholarship players.
Okay.
These are scholarship
Okay.
players. Good call. Scholarship players.
80 schools? Oh, man. I'll say it's got to be under 50. I'll say
is.
42.
Good guess. I would have guessed closer to like 1 per team. It's 22.
it's 22, yeah. There are almost as many of those as there are 5th-year seniors on their 5th team.
No, there's just 2 of those. You
There's
mean
2 of them.
four,
So 4 years.
years.
Yep.
Yes, there's
So
19.
19. Yeah, 4-year seniors that have played 4 years, 4 different teams. There's 19 of those, including Trey White. And they're
PJ Haggerty.
And PJ Haggerty. And there are 22
And there's
4-year guys that
there's-
have played all 4 years.
There's
at
2
one school.
5-for-5s, and there's
Yeah.
2 6-for-6s.
6-for-6s.
Oklahoma State's Anthony Roy.
Oh my God, there's 2 6-for-6s. Like Tamar Bates was one of the rare 4-for-4s. No, he wasn't. He went to Indiana. Good God. Tamar Bates was a rare 4-for-4 that he played 4 years of eligibility. But he started out at Indiana, jackass.
It's weird that I feel like Mitchell should have 2 more years left, right? Because he's just played 4 years, right?
Yeah, he's
Duke
only
and
played
then
4
3
years.
at Mizzou. Like when Devin Neal graduated at KU.
Yeah.
Like, no, everybody else gets more time than this. What would you do
Right.
wrong?
Yeah, well, why do you only get 4 years of eligibility when there's guys out there
Ridiculous.
that are 27, 28 years old? Like, is there somebody you can sue? Can you get an injunction to Tamar Bates to be able to play? But it shouldn't be that you can only play 4 years in college. When did we start this? When did we start this? You've played 4 years, so you're out of eligibility thing. Ridiculous. More zone next. All right, let's sneak in some cuts here before the show is over. By the way, we're a couple of weeks away from the Bracket of Sound being released, so let's get some cuts in, Michael, before we're out of here on a Friday. Okay?
You can swing in my hot tub.
There you go. I'm not going to.
God bless him. He's sloppy fat, but they snap the ball and the feet are amazing. But that guy looks like a sack of donuts been stuffed into a condom or something.
That was Deion Dawkins for the Buffalo Bills, left tackle. X gonna give it to you.
Gonna give it to you.
X gonna give it to you.
Gonna give it to you.
Mick, we got that.
Was that me?
That was you and I. That was
Thanks for pulling that.
Welcome. Anytime, Danny.
Why don't you go first, and
Okay.
I'll do Curtis because I'm looking at him.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's true.
I said that wrong,
Good
didn't
point.
I?
Yeah.
Mark. Damn it, Kyle.
Oh, I heard that one live. I'm like, I'm going to cut that one if he doesn't. That one is 100% going to be cut.
We begin with Will the Chiefs. This comes from Dennis.
Do you love how he always seems to be surprised we're starting this?
I usually have another page up there.
He is always prepared.
Oh, Seren.
This thing we've done for 10 years. We're gonna do it now?
Oh,
10 years.
okay.
Oh, my God.
You make a note to bust your balls the next time you don't do something perfect, which will be in the next segment.
That inch is the critical one.
It really is. The inch is the critical one.
It is.
Depends on which inch he's talking about. I don't know, but it's typically critical. There you go. There are, Mick, 160 cuts that I have already moved over to the Bracket of Sound folder.
You
I went
cut them
through
down to 68.
the entire last year. That does not include the separate folder of Sterling that has 66 cuts in it.
We could do an entire tournament just of Sterling.
We really could. We could do a Sterling Bracket of Sound. Unbelievable.
He would totally hate all that attention.
Oh, my gosh. No, don't do that. Please don't. There's also about 35 in the Matt